Okay, so once again, you're welcome to today's conference. I'm so glad to have us all join us today. And this event is brought to you by the collaboration between Perxels and Roadtrip, and I'm sure you're going to have an amazing time today. My name is Esther Bello. I am the programs manager at Perxels, and I'm one of the facilitators for today's program. And I also have with me some wonderful and amazing ladies as well that will join me to facilitate today's program. And you're going to be meeting them as the program continues. Thank you once again for joining. And before we dive into the agenda for today, I would like us to take a moment to meet each other. So in the chat section of the meeting, kindly state your name, where you're joining from, and the community you belong to, whether Pexels, Rotary, or none of them. Just state your name, where you're joining from. So we'd like to meet with you and we'd like to relate with you. I'm also going to love hearing your voices as well. So um, do well to engage with us today. Okay, while we are doing that, while I'm expecting your replies, so today's conference is all about empowering you with the knowledge and the strategies you need to maximize your job opportunities in the design field. So we have a lineup of expert speakers that will share their insights and expertise to help you stand out in your job search. So do well to pay close attention and get your questions ready because this is the place that you can ask your question and it will be answered perfectly and very well. So they are ready to answer whatever questions you may have concerning job applications and whatever questions you so get ready for an engaging presentation, enlightening Q&A sections, and even some fun games. So we have a little bit of game where you can win some prizes. So stay tuned for that. Also, stay tuned for an exclusive announcement later during the event. So we have a surprise, an amazing surprise for us. So do well to stay tuned. All right. So let's see some of the so we have some replies already in the chat section. Okay, road trip. I'm seeing a lot of road trip. Pexalas, where are you? Hi, Taiwo from Lagos. Okay. Welcome to today's session. I can see Bello Damilola. You're welcome. Most very welcome to this session. Emmanuel, you're welcome. Okay. Okay. Zainab, you're joining from where? Zainab, we didn't finish where you're joining from, but that's fine. Okay, Casey from Enugu. Wow, you're welcome to this session. And we have Eunice from Ibadan. Yeah, Pexela. Wow. Thank you for joining. Felicia from Pexels. We have another Bello Damilola. Is it the same person? Wow.
Yes, same person.
The same person. Okay. I was thinking we have two Bello Damilolas. My name is also Bello, so she's my sister. So Bello Damilola from Surulere. You're welcome. Okay. Uh, Emmanuel, you're welcome. We have a lot of Emmanuels here today with us. Valentine from Lagos. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. Joyce, we are happy that you were able to join us today. Hi, Priya. Wow, we have someone from India. Is that not amazing? Hi, Priyanka. We are so glad that you were able to join us today. Thank you for taking time out. Okay, where did I stop? Okay, there's a lot of messages. Okay, Samuel, you're welcome. You're representing the road trip community. That's fine. Okay, I would love to greet everyone, but like we are a lot, so I also want to hear our voices. Like I can't be the only one voice that's being talked about right now. So, Dami, at least I've heard your voice already. So, Dami, good evening. Can you tell me what you're expecting from today's program? Just share one thing with us that you're expecting from today's program.
Oh, okay. I just actually just want to learn a lot from today's program and how to get job opportunities and how to navigate the whole design world as a beginner in the product design world, basically. So that's just basically what I want to learn. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm sure you're going to learn that and you're going to learn even much more than that. So I also want to ask someone else. Okay. Okay, I would love to hear from Priyanka actually. So, good evening, Priyanka. Please tell us where yeah, you say you're joining from India. So, how is it over there, and what do you expect from today's program? Hi, Priyanka. Don't you want to talk? Okay, okay. I understand. So, yeah, let's also ask somebody else. Wow, there are a lot of us. I'm so glad you're able to join. Okay, Adebola Roots. Good evening. How are you doing today? How is the weather over at your side? Over here, it's been raining a lot today. Adebola Roots, kindly unmute if you want to speak. Yeah, I think we have a lot of shy people today. Why? Why do we have shy people today? Don't be shy. It's the cold too much. I don't know, Victoria. Please let me ask. Okay, I'm going to call someone now. Or if you want to speak, you can actually raise your hand. I know some people want to speak and I may not be able to let you. So, um, okay, Fajimi. I hope I pronounced that surname well. Please, are you able to talk? Good evening to you.
Hey, good evening, ma.
Good evening. Thank you very much for speaking. How are you doing today? Where are you joining from? And how's the weather over there?
Yeah, I'm joining from Ife, Osun State.
Wow. Are you a student of where?
Um, a
Mm,
graduate actually, but a resident of Osun State.
yeah, great to fair. We are alumni
Yeah,
together.
that's awesome.
Yes, awesome. You're welcome.
Yeah,
So, what do you expect from today's program? What are your expectations?
yeah. I would say use the word probably clarity on how to obviously the theme of the program, how
Yeah.
to probably maximize the job opportunity out there. I saw the advert on. I mean, it's pop up on my LinkedIn timeline sort of. So I registered and yes, so I'm hoping to see relevant information that will give me the direction I need to navigate the market over there.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's good. That's a good one. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so we are glad that you are able to join us from IFE. We are so glad. Thank you so much. Okay, Priyanka. Oh, sorry, you can't unmute. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're welcome. You're highly welcome to today's program. Um, okay, so the last person I'll be asking because of time. So, can I have Joe? Joe Nameka. Please forgive me, guys, for merging your names. Joe, are you available to unmute? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Hi.
good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I hope you're doing great too.
Yeah, I am doing great. Thank you. How's the weather over at your side today? It's felt everywhere.
Um, yeah, I think it was raining heavily in the morning, but now
Yeah.
um, you can go outside, so the weather is still dull.
Yes, exactly. I don't know why September has rain. I feel like the rain season should have ended, but we are here.
Yeah,
We are
the
here.
climate is
Yeah, the climate change is very serious. All right, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot
welcome.
on today's session.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Esther, you're muted.
Sorry. Thank you very much. So now, I welcome us all once again, and we are going into the welcome address now, and I'll be bringing up Victoria. She's the CEO of Road Trip, so I'll be bringing her up to give us the welcome address. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Esther. Good afternoon, everybody. Usually is my habit to greet everybody one by one, but we don't have that time. So Pexelers in the house, say hi. I see you guys. Road trippers in the house, say hi. All right, so my name is Victoria. Everyone calls me Miss Vic. I'm the founder slash CEO of the Road Trip Community. So I'm just going to get right into welcoming us with my welcome address that I've taken the time to like really nicely create for all of us to prepare our hearts for this event and for the experience we are going to get and also the value we're going to get from this conference. Perxels Design School is a leading provider of UI UX design training with the aim to provide students with the skills they need to succeed in the design industry. Um, Also, Roadtrip Community is an online community of creatives who are supporting one another to build a successful career in the design and tech space. So both parties have a mutual partnership that is geared towards collaborating on innovative learning initiatives such as this job conference that we're having today. All right. Over the years, the Perxels Design School and Road Trip Community, so that's Perxels and this Road Trip, we have observed that design graduates and trainees struggle to leverage their training effectively, and they often end up returning to their regular jobs after the training, or they face challenges in securing fulfilling design-related positions. So to address this issue, both parties, that is Pexels and Roadtrip, rolled out a plan to hold a virtual job conference where participants receive the necessary guidance, insights, and resources that would empower them to leverage their training effectively and embark on successful careers in the design industry. So with this understanding in our hearts, I will employ everyone to put in their 100% attention into this transformative event. And I strongly believe that you will leave here with massive value that will change your approach to job hunting and empower you to maximize job opportunities. So thank you very much, everyone, for being a part of this. And I actually hope that by the end of this event, there's something actually big, something massive that you actually get out of this experience. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful time. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for that wonderful welcome speech. Yeah, and I'm sure we are going to have an amazing time. So, without further ado, we are getting into the business of the day. So, the first item of the agenda. So, we are going to be inviting our first speaker. Before we invite him, I would like to he's already in our midst, already here. So I would like to greet him. Hi, good evening, Mr. Michael. How are you doing today?
Hi, Esther. Good evening. Good
Hi.
evening, everyone. I am good.
Oh wow, I'm so glad that you are able to honor our invitation today, and we are so very ready to learn from you. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So before I bring Mr. Michael up, I'm going to be reading his bio. Okay. Michael is an upwardly mobile, tech-savvy, passionate recruiter who values dedication, service, and excellence. Starting his career in a tech environment and seeing its possibilities, Michael picked up on the passion of helping Michael picked up on his passion of helping young people choose and grow their careers in tech. With over a decade of experience in the art tech, martech, fintech, and gaming space, Michael is in the business of sourcing top talents for local and global tech startups while creating a wonderful candidate experience. This means matching the right talent to the right roles. Michael earned his master's degree in employment and labor studies from the University of Lagos, and he is a member of various local and international HR communities. Wow, we are so glad to have you here with us, Michael. So thank you so much for gracing our application. So today, Mr. Michael is going to be taking us on the topic mastering job readiness. So which is a very important topic for those for we looking for jobs, for those of us looking for jobs in today's century. So thank you very much, Michael. Over to you. You can go on now.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Esther. Please give me a minute to share my screen. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, 1 minute. All right, so welcome once again, everyone. Like Esther has read, my name is Michael. I've been in the tech space for over a decade. So this afternoon, I'll be taking you guys on mastering job readiness, and I've subtitled these strategies for getting and keeping your dream job. Just a bit of information about myself. I mean, you've already heard some of it, but I wanted to also mention that, I'm a founder of Talent Party. So Talent Party is a community that basically curates and shares remote and relocation opportunities to techies. And we do that, on our Telegram platform and also other platforms as well. So I want to, use the opportunity to say a very big thank you to the organizers of this conference. I think, conferences like this are very much important because, I mean, one of the challenges that, young graduates have is not having enough direction, when they are coming into the job market. And I feel like it's a gap, that people need to be intentional, organization needs to be intentional so that people are very well prepared when they are coming into the job market. We all know how competitive the job market is, especially in Nigeria. How there's a lot of nepotism, a lot of godfatherism and all of that. So just having the advantage of knowing what to do basically gives you an edge over other people. So just some rules I think we should just maintain during this conference. I'll say we should keep all our mics on mute till maybe you are called upon to take a question. You should turn off your webcam during the presentation just to allow that everyone is concentrating. And you should type in any question you have in the chat box. I mean, I will attempt to answer any question, at the end of my presentation. Okay, so in terms of the table of content, so we'll be talking about job hunting myth, some things you need to do before the interview, what hiring managers are looking for, either in junior designers or generally for any role that it is. We'll also be looking at what you need to do during an interview or what you need to do after the interview. We'll also take a look at some tech resources that could help you, in job hunting, and then take a look at some sample emails to recruiters, to hiring managers, to people that you basically network with, all in a bid to enhance your chances of getting, an interview. And then in terms of the learning outcomes, I mean, this was basically in the flyers. At the end of this session, I am hoping that we would know what hiring managers are looking for in designers. We will learn how to confidently articulate our unique value proposition. We'll gain insight into interview pitfalls. We will learn to present ourselves in the best possible light. Okay, now to the slide itself. All right, so one of the things I hear a lot, being a recruiter, a lot of people reach out to me to either ask for an opportunity to interview, within my company or any other company that I have like affiliation with. So you have people like, maybe my friends, my colleagues, people within my contacts, especially when I advertise one of these jobs on my WhatsApp stories and all of that. People reach out from time to time, to just ask for opportunities to interview. So for me, one of the key things I like to understand with everyone I give an opportunity is their mindset. I feel like mindset is like one of the key things that everyone needs to check whenever they are going into the job market, because some people have like some misconception that I think we need to debunk. And the first one is that you need to know someone to secure a job in a company. All right, so some 11 years ago, I came out of the university, and I studied economics, and I came out, I was basically just looking for any job to, set me, within the job market. I was opportune to see an advert, for a retail company that was basically into the importation of LED bulbs into Nigeria. I had applied without knowing anyone, and then I was invited for the interview. On the interview panel, I had about 3 people. I had a consultant, the CEO, and then one of his friends on the panel. I went through the interview process, and at the end of the day, I got the job. I mean, I'm saying this to say that you don't really need to know anyone to be able to secure a job in a company. It's something I hear a lot. And so sometimes when I see opportunities and I share to people, maybe some of my friends or people within my contact, and I say, oh, this company is hiring. Can you please send in your application? One of the first questions I get is, do you know anyone there? And I'm like, I mean, why should I know someone there for you to apply for this opportunity? So I think it's something we need to be critical about, or need to have a mind shift, about. You don't really need to know anyone to be able to get a job. And if you ask a lot of people, people that have like, some years of experience, that are professionals within their field, some of them will tell you that they didn't really need to know anyone to get a job. So that's the first one. The second myth I'd like us to bust or debunk is that you need to fulfill like 100% of a job requirement to apply for that job. That is totally not correct. I would say that if you feel like you meet about 60% of a job requirement, you should apply for that job. And I'll give you a case in point. So last month, I just closed a graphic designer role last month, and I had like a lot of applications, but I was able to sift through some of the applications, and then I got about 5 people to take the interview. And after the first stage of the interview, we had 3 people go through the second stage, which was for them to do an assessment, do a design, and do a presentation to the panel. And after the presentation, we had 2 final candidates, for us to decide whether, whom to hire, among them. One had about 4 years of experience in as a graphic designer. The other was just having 2 years, meaning that most of our experiences were, more of boot camps, more of internships and all. At face value, you would think that we would most likely go with the guy that had, 4 years of experience. I mean, by the way, his designs were very pleasing to the eyes. In fact, he was one of the key person. He was one of the first person we were considering to hire. But while we were going through doing like a debrief session, because I mean, usually after interviews have been had, candidates have gone through the various interview process. All the people that are involved, in that interview usually come together to decide whom to hire, especially if they have more than one candidate. So we went into a debrief meeting to discuss the pros and cons of each candidate, and it came out that the most senior candidate, even though he had an advantage, and the advantage he was supposed to have, what he had, was the fact that someone within the organization had referred him, and so he had the advantage, but that advantage didn't really make us hire him, and I'll tell you why. So my colleague that did the culture interview had said that when he was having the interview with him, he was being cocky in the interview. He was acting some, nonchalantly, was asking some question. I was just laughing, somehow that she found it out of place that for someone that was coming for an interview, the person was acting so informal. At the end of the day, we decided to give the offer to the lady that had just 2 years of experience, because, I mean, for us as recruiters, for hiring managers, what is most important, is the soft skills. Because I mean, if you have someone that have the right alignment to your values, the right is culturally fit into the organization and has potential in terms of their technical know-how, you most likely be in a better place hiring that person as opposed to hiring someone that has technical experience and some character requirement, or or have some deficiency in terms of their soft skills. So we went about hiring, this lady that had 2 years, even though we had another candidate that had 4 years of experience. So you don't necessarily. So just imagine if that candidate, did not apply for the role just because she felt like, oh, she doesn't have, all what it takes, or because most of her experiences have been internship. So you need to, be more confident about yourself and give that job opportunity, give it a chance or give it a trial. You never can tell what can come out of it. And then the next myth I'd like to debunk is that the most skilled candidate will get the job. That is not true. I think my story buttresses that. And then the next one is that your CV needs a unique design to stand out. This is something I see a lot with designers, where they are using a lot of colors on their CV. They are using a lot of icons on their CV. I'm not saying it is bad, but I'm saying that a normal CV can equally, stand you out if you place the right things, in the right places, and you're not putting a lot of information that are not necessary. So you don't necessarily need to have a very fanciful CV, to be able to stand out, in a job interview or for you to secure an interview. The next one is to grow. You need to start your career in a tech environment. This is something I see common with a lot of people that, have just recently moved into tech. And I know within the last couple of years, there's been a lot of raving about, oh, tech is the new oil. Everyone is trying to get into tech, which is why, one of the key things I wanted to talk about is that even though you've taken, some training within the design world, I mean, you want to be sure. I want you to do a self-reflection. Do you feel like design is actually something you would like to do? Because for a lot of people, they basically went through the list of all tech-related courses and they were just looking for the most simplest. And they feel like, no, I don't feel like I want to write code. I don't feel like I have the patience to learn code. And they feel like, oh, maybe design may be simple. Is it not just to be able to use CorelDRAW, to be able to use Photoshop, to be able to use Figma, and all of that. So some people get into, this field with a hope that, oh, it's going to be very easy. And then they also feel that for you to grow, you need to start in a tech environment. When I started my career, I didn't start in tech. I started within the retail, environment. And so for you, I mean, and I can give a case in point. So the lady that I was talking about that we eventually hired for the graphic design role, when I reached out to her, and I told her about the fact that this role will require you to come into the office 5 days in a week. She was like, no, that she wasn't interested. And I told her that I don't think you should be turning down opportunities or conversation at the earliest stage. At the end of the day, it's still your decision to make, but I'm advising you as a recruiter that whenever anyone reaches out to you for an interview, please honor that interview. Because, I mean, when you honor that interview, you are not forced to take the job. Remember that there will be several processes involved. You get to meet different people. You get to learn how to interview. Within that process, you probably will make a very good impact. Even though you will not take the job, you will probably make a good impact that will make either someone on the panel call you for some other opportunity. So I told her, I said, I don't think it is right. And I'm also saying it on this call. If you are new into your profession, be it design or anything, don't turn down conversations, because conversations can lead to anything, other opportunities that you never ever expected. Even though you may not take that job, have the conversation, because I mean it can lead into something else. I'm saying that to say you don't necessarily need to start a career in tech. I mean, if as a junior designer you have an opportunity to work in other industry but tech, please take it. take it, because I mean that will serve as a collateral for your next opportunity. You don't need to turn down, opportunities, especially when you are a fresher, because that's the catalyst you need. That's where you will learn some workplace skills. Where you will learn to be confident in your work. That's when you'll be able to get better feedback on your work, and then you have the confidence to be able to apply to even more bigger organization or maybe tech-enabled environment. So that's one myth. Don't always wait for that perfect job in tech. Pick up any role as far as to allow you, exercise on the trainings you've had, within all the boot camps, all the trainings that you've taken. Yeah. And then the other myth I hear is that, you can't change industries. So, there are some people that probably, had their initial experience in sales, some people in customer service, some people, as aviation professionals. You can be anything at all, and over time you can change from whatever profession you were into design. So if you've chosen design, you are pretty much confident that design is what you were meant to do, or is something that you are very much passionate about. Don't have any fears that you can transition from where you were to where you can be. And that's, I'm saying this to say that, what hiring managers, recruiters are looking for people that have had other experiences is transferable skills. So what you should think about is, what are the skills I have learned in my previous experience that I can bring into design? And how am I able to articulate this when I'm having conversation? Because that's what will stand you out. That's what would serve as the bridge from where you were into the industry or the environment where you are going to. And then the next one is job hunting is a game of numbers. Yes, that's something I hear a lot, but I wanted to say that for you to job hunt, you need to be very strategic. Job hunting can be a daunting task. If you are not careful, you can get weighed down by the number of rejections that you're going to get, because obviously you're going to get a lot of rejections. So if you're not very strategic, you will see that you are spending your time applying to the wrong opportunities. I would say just have a plan. I like some of the great places you'd like to work, and then work your way around in terms of applying for the opportunities that come up in this kind of organization, as opposed to just applying to any opportunity. And then the next one I would like to talk about is that tech jobs are remote. Have had some people, of course, I don't hold it against anyone, because again, I understand it, but people's realities are different. I would just say that you need to be flexible. There are some tech environment, and I'm saying this because you don't have a lot of experience. You're probably just still new within the design space. If someone gives you an opportunity and they say you need to come into the office 5 days in a week, please take it. Don't always wait for that remote opportunities, because if you ask most people that, probably are in the, at the peak of their career, the first few jobs they took wasn't the ideal, but it was something that, that built them to become who they are today. So, the market is quite competitive. So any opportunity you get, even if it's remote, even if it's hybrid or on-site, please take it, because it's an opportunity for you to showcase what you've learned. It's an opportunity for you to learn workplace skills. It's an opportunity for you to grow in your career. And then so other things I would like to talk about, and this is specific to designers, is that I've heard some people, and I've seen a lot of CVs of designers, being designed with CorelDRAW, with Photoshop, and with Figma. Okay, so I'll tell you how I, as a recruiter, basically go about shortlisting people. So I have one role to fill, and I have 1,500 applications. I don't go about looking at all the profiles are coming to my ATS. I don't have that time. I don't have that time, not because I don't want to do it, but because I have a limited time to close the role. So I'll give you an idea of how long it takes. So for a junior role and a mid-level role, typically every recruiter is given like 30 days to fill the role, where the first week you are basically, having conversation with the hiring manager, coming up with the job scope or job description, posting that job online. And then the second week, you've gotten some application, you are saving through the application. And then the third week, you have already scheduled interviews, different stages of the interviews. And then the final week, you are having a debrief, with all the panelists, and then you are sending out job offer. Hopefully you close the role within 1 month. So what I basically do is to go on my ATS. If this role requires someone that knows about wireframing, I go on my ATS and I'm searching for specific keywords. So if you use Photoshop, you use CorelDRAW, you use Figma to design your resume, the keywords on your resume will not show up on my ATS. It means that you've lost that opportunity because I am not taking the time to look at every CV that comes into the ATS because I do not have that time. I am basically just searching with certain keywords. And if your CV is in a static mode, and even though you've used PDF, you've converted it to PDF, it doesn't allow those keywords to show up, meaning that you will lose out on those opportunities. The second thing I want to talk about is that for some people, they don't add LinkedIn link to their CVs. Others don't add their portfolio, they have it separately. Well, I would say when I have interest in a certain portfolio, maybe I'm a bit patient. I take the time to reach out to candidates. So for example, the lady that we're hiring right now, she probably would have lost the opportunity because the person that shared our profile to me only shared her portfolio. And in her portfolio, all I had was her email address. I was in a hurry to fill roles. I typically like to just pick up my phone, call the number on either the portfolio or the LinkedIn and schedule a time. I can go the route of maybe sending you a link to book a time. I can go the route of sending you an email and waiting for you to respond. But I feel like, I don't want to delay, in any way. So I would typically just like to call you and book a time that we can have a proper conversation. So if I pick up your CV and there's no link, for me to check your portfolio, I can drop it. And again, I'm sure it's common fact, right now, recruiters don't have all the times in the world to take a look at CVs because we have a lot of people that have applied. We typically take between 6 to 7 seconds to go through a profile. So I'm taking a look at several profiles. I'm seeing that this one does not have portfolio. Oh, well, this one is not even serious. Move ahead to the next one until I see the person that has everything that I need. And the reason why I think you should have your LinkedIn, a link to your LinkedIn, and not just a link, a clickable link. It has to be, a clickable. So use an hyperlink to connect your LinkedIn and your portfolio to your resume, because the CV is supposed to be like a snapshot of your experience, while the LinkedIn tells a bit more story. So when I take a look at your CV, the next thing I want to do is go and check your LinkedIn profile to see, what more you have done. And I also want to take a look at your portfolio. So I would advise that if you don't have your portfolio on a link to your portfolio that is clickable on your CV, please go and do that now. If on your portfolio you don't have your phone number, please do so. Because I'm just assuming that for most people that do not do these things, they probably see a lot of senior people that just put their email address. Also, we just put links to their social media handle. They see it and they copy. That guy, he has multiple employers chasing him, so he can afford to do that. But when you are new in design, you don't do that because, again, for me, I feel like when you are in design and in product management, or maybe in fact, all the fields, you are basically working for the customer. And, user interface, user experience becomes very important. So you are wearing the shoe of the recruiter, you are wearing the shoe of the hiring manager and designing for that purpose. So you should think about, if I was to be a recruiter, what would I typically look out for, and make those corrections. The next thing I want to talk about is you do not include your contact details. Okay, that's what I've talked about in your portfolio. Please include it, because this lady, like I was saying, the thing they sent to me was her portfolio. I had to reach out to her. Maybe I was patient that day. I sent her an email to say, please send me your CV. And I was wondering, why didn't she just put a link to her CV on her portfolio and put a link to her portfolio on her CV? So whichever I see, I can just have access to her phone number and just call her directly. So please change that. The other thing I would like to talk about is that you highlight more of responsibilities than impact. Employers want to see what impact you made in that boot camp. They want to see how you contributed. And contribution is not in terms of responsibility. So don't go about saying, I was part of a team that designed the user interface for XYZ brand. No, that's not what I want to see. I want to see the impact. So I want to see that oh, you were part of a team of how many people designing an interface. What kind of interface was it? Was it for an e-commerce company? Was it for a fintech company? And what was the impact? So after you designed the new interface of the website, did it draw more customers to the website? Those metrics are very much important because that's what will stand you out from the crowd. A lot of people basically just go copy their job responsibilities on their JD and put on the CV. No, put in the impact that you have in all of your roles. That's how you stand out, in front of the, recruiter, and you stand out in front of the hiring manager. Or for some people, your resume lacks focus. So I talked about the fact that some people started off their career in other industries, and now they have transitioned into design, and then they have a lot of, different experiences that are not design focused. Like I said before, you are supposed to just be projecting the most important part of your experience on your CV. So if, for example, you had you were a flight attendant, you were a customer care agent, you were a salesperson, can you downplay all of that and just focus on design right now on your CV? Because that's what stands you out. When employers take a look at your CV and they see that you have different kind of experiences, so you were in design and then you left to sales and then you came back, you are doing digital marketing, and then you are going to be a flight attendant or whatever. It shows you don't have direction. You are not sure what you want to do with yourself. So that is something that you need to pay attention to. And then the other ones I see, designers are people that love freelancing. Yeah. So you see someone put up their experience, Mike International Limited, from 2022 to present. And then they go again, Indomie Nigeria Limited, 2022 to 2023 to present. And you're like, if you're in the shoes of a recruiter or an hiring manager, the feeling they have about your profile like that, this guy, he won't deliver on his tasks because he's distracted doing other things for other people. And I'm not saying you shouldn't freelance. I'm saying there's a better way to project it on your CV. You could put it as part of a short-term project you did, or you are doing, but you're not putting that is still ongoing. Just silence it so that in your own time, in your own space, after your normal 9 to 5, you can go about delivering on that. But don't put it in a bit to show that you have experience. Don't put multiple concurrent experience, except maybe you ended one and you're picking up another one. It's something I find a lot, within the profiles of designers. So I don't think you should do that because, it's going to limit your chances of having an interview. And then the other tips I thought I should talk about is that if you are an experienced designer, please put your experience first. And even if you are not in design, whatever it is you do, as far as you have 2 years experience and more, please don't project your education. I'm most interested to see what you've done in design. I'm most interested to see the impact you've created or you've made in some other places. I don't want to see your education. So even if you went to Harvard, please bring it down. And of course, for many of us that are not as privileged, not like we went to the, to Ivy League school, but you still want to project it because you got a 2-1. That is not important. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what the creative director is looking for in a design CV. We want to see your work. We want to see your portfolio, which is why you should put everything that matters first on your resume or on your CV. So put the platforms that you're able to use, put the link to your portfolio, put the link to your LinkedIn and all of that. But your education should be moved, towards the end of your CV. And if you're a newbie, yes, you can put your education first and focus on transferable skills. Show the employer, show the recruiter some of the skills you learned from your boot camp and how you are using it or how you used it in the past. Another thing I'll talk about is remove or avoid fluffy words, and it is quite prevalent with freshers, people that are just coming into the workplace. You see something like, oh, I'm a team player, I am a hard worker, I have a track record of XYZ, I am result driven, self-motivated. I mean, when I see fluffy words like this, I just feel like you don't have substance. You are just putting in, buzzwords to make your CV appear bigger than it is. It's doing you more harm than good. The other one I would say don't is use important keywords from the job description. So when I'm, like I said, when I am shortlisting candidate, I'm looking for keywords, and I'm looking at, oh, what's the requirement of the role versus what does this person have. So it's important for you to look at all jobs that you're going to apply to and copy some keywords. So if there are keywords that have been reflected on the job description, please look for a way to put it on your CV. And I'm saying, do not copy. Don't go and copy the line of job responsibility and put on your CV. It's going to be like a red flag that you don't have the experience. You're basically just copying from what you saw online. Yeah. And then the other thing I want to talk about is cut the short-term jobs. Okay, I've talked about this. Don't go on projects. So if you did a lot of short stints, you did a project that was for 2 months, 1 month project, don't put it as an experience. Put it as project and take it down, because if you put it as an experience, they will feel like you're job hopping. This one just stayed only 1 month here. This one just stayed 2 months here. Please, no, I don't want to speak with this candidate. If he joins us, he will not stay. They will not understand that it probably was, probably was a short-term project. So create a separate section for projects and then put your real time experience. And if you had a full-time employment that didn't last for a long time, instead of going, first of all, you may not have the opportunity to even explain yourself. So it's just better you don't put it at all. And then I'll say proofread and double check the formatting, and then make it concise by removing unnecessary details. Save your resume with your name. I mean, I'm going to go a bit faster because I feel like I spend a lot of time here. And then the other thing I want to talk about, a lot of people don't pay attention to their LinkedIn page, especially if you are targeting foreign companies. Like I told you, I mean, my community basically create jobs, for techies, remote relocation jobs. That's what we do. And I understand that, when you are targeting foreign employers, there's no way they will see your CV. Most of them, at least 70% of them, will want to see your LinkedIn page. So it is very much important that you optimize your LinkedIn. And, so you have 40 times more likely to be noticed, on LinkedIn if your LinkedIn page is optimized. Because sometimes, even if you don't apply to opportunities, even if they're not checking your LinkedIn profile through your CV, they're basically just going online, to search for roles. Another thing I do when I'm hiring for a role is that while I am waiting for inbound application to come through my ATS, again, because I am raising against time, I have to also go and be doing head hunting online on LinkedIn specifically. So while I'm waiting for the application to come in, I'm going on LinkedIn and I'm searching graphic designer in fintech, graphic designer this, or product designer this. I am doing all this kind of search. So people would continuously do searches. LinkedIn, of course, is the biggest platform that employers and recruiters go to source for people. So if you consider yourself a professional and then your LinkedIn page is not optimized, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I think it's pretty much simple. You can get some tips online, or maybe get a professional to help you basically revamp or rejig your LinkedIn page or optimize your LinkedIn page. It basically takes, putting up a professional photo, having a customized background image, having a catchy, relevant, and optimized headline, having an authentic and optimized about summary, ensure that your experience detail section is optimized. And optimization is basically ensuring that you have the right keywords for your field, all over your profile, ensuring that you're telling the story, within your about section, so that, when I take a look at your CV, I can come back and read the, maybe the more detailed information about your journey or about some of the fantastic things that you have done. And I would say optimize your skill section. I typically like to, when I optimize LinkedIn for people, I typically like to, highlight the 10 most critical skills for their industry and put on their LinkedIn profile, because that's what employers will be searching for. That's what recruiters will be searching for when they come to look for people. They are searching for keywords. So ensure that the right keywords for your industry is populated on your LinkedIn page. Okay, I'll move. And then the next thing I want to talk about is use your network. I know I said, initially that you don't necessarily need to know someone to get a job, but if you know someone, you stand a higher chance of getting an interview in any company. So make use of your network. I know some of us will say, "Oh, I like to keep to myself. I am an introvert. I don't like to go out. I just like to mind my business." You are doing yourself a disservice. You know why? Because a lot of people, so think about it. You met people while you were in your secondary school days, while you were in the university, you know some people in church, you know some people from your primary school. All of those people, most of them are working in big organization. That is a massive network that you've not started exploring just because you feel like, oh, you're an introverted person, or just because you want to mind your business. Research has it, and this is not something I verify, but I think if I verify it will likely be true. The people that have most opportunity within the organization are people that are very outgoing. And I'm not saying you need to be an extrovert, to seize all the opportunities, but you can still be an introvert and also be very strategic in terms of the relationships that you have. The people that you know in all the places you belong to, the communities you belong to, and the communities. When I'm talking about community, I'm talking about professional, religious, school, all of that. You need to start harnessing those relationships. If you see that someone is working in a company that you would like to work, send them a message. Send them a message on LinkedIn. Send them an email. Oh, I see you work here. I'm a new designer that, I am interested in working for a brand or a company, such as yours. Would you mind, sacrificing? Do you have 15 minutes for us to talk about, how I can transition or what opportunities I have in this industry? Something like that. So all the people that I list them out and begin to reach out to them. So you cannot be unemployed and you are not reaching out to people. So not beyond. So aside my first role and my second role, my other roles have been referrals. People have been referring me to all the other roles, including the one I am currently, occupying. People referred me. So I'll say list out everybody that you've ever known. If you don't have a job, everybody you've ever known, in your lifetime, check out where they are. If they are working in an organization where you would like to work, pencil down their name and decide to reach out to them one by one and tell them, that you're job hunting, these are the opportunities you're looking for. This is the training you've taken. This is your CV. What advice do they have as based on what they've seen on your CV and all of that? So you should do that. So when you reach out to them, it's either you're asking for career advice, you're asking for an introduction to maybe the hiring manager, an introduction to the recruiter, you're asking for a referral for a job, or any of these areas. Sorry, is someone talking?
Sorry about that, so you can go on. Mr. Michael, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So for all the people that reach out to them, ask for career advice, ask for an introduction, ask for a referral, and I'll say invest in your relationships. Invest. So if you've penciled out all these people that find out when is their marriage anniversary, when is their birthdays, when are they having important celebrations in their life. Show up for them, so that it doesn't seem as if you are just reaching out to them when you need help. Because people know it when people are trying to take advantage of them. People are very conscious of it. So, but if you are genuinely looking out to connect with them, you are intentional about investing in that relationship, you show up for them when they need people, so that would help you, in assessing a lot of opportunities that, you typically not have. And then the other thing I want to talk, so before you go to the interview, I would say research the company. Research the company in terms of what they do, in terms of who the hiring manager is, in terms of how long they've been in the business, especially if you are within the tech space, because we have a lot of tech startups that do not, I mean, yes, you may have a job, but they may not stand the test of time. So you want to check details about, how much are they valued, when last did they raise fund, who is the CEO, is this someone reputable, who is the hiring manager for the role, this role, how many times have they advertised it within 1 year? Because some companies rather, they have the habit of advertising one role multiple times. You just know that something is wrong. Why are the people that they've been hiring all along not staying on this job? Research will help you get all of that. Research in terms of how their pay structure is, so that you're able to bargain more effectively. And then the other thing I want to talk about before the interview is contact the hiring manager via email or LinkedIn. A lot of people will apply for roles, but you will stand out if you are reaching out to the recruiter directly on LinkedIn, or you are reaching out to the hiring manager. So there have been instances where I've been given a job order. I am basically just doing my shortlisting. The hiring manager will reach out to me. Hi, Michael. XYZ person reached out to me on LinkedIn. Could you check her profile and see if she applied? Even though normally I may not check, because I am just doing spot checks. I'm basically just searching for keywords. For some reason, that person may not even have the keyword, or the person has probably saved his or her resume in the static format, so their CV will not pop up. But because the hiring manager has reached out to me, because someone within the company has reached out to me to say, oh, hi, Michael, a friend of mine said he applied for so role, I would give that attention. I must check that CV. I'll most likely call the candidate. Why I do that is because, aside the fact that I want to give that candidate a chance, I am also trying to encourage internal referral, because for most companies, they prefer if their internal their staff can refer candidates to them, because they feel like the staff already understand our cultures, and so anyone within their network will most likely be similar to them. So they prefer it. So for me to encourage my employees to refer more people, I'll most likely have conversation. Even if the person is not well qualified, I will have a conversation with that person. I'll tell the person, I'll give the person opportunity to sell themselves to me, how they feel, they meet up with the requirement of the role. And then if they don't meet it, I'll tell them, oh, unfortunately, I'm not sure this job is for you. However, I am willing to give you an opportunity to refer someone else, someone within your network. You can refer them, or when I have a role that thinks suits your profile, I'm going to call you. You understand? So it's important. Reach out to the hiring managers or the recruiter or someone that you know within the company. Reach out to them. It will give you an edge over other applications. Before the interview as well, I would say identify 3 main selling points on why you are the right candidate for the role. Don't just go into an interview without telling yourself, how do I fit into this role? You need to answer that question. What are the 3 selling points I'm taking to this role? What advantage would I probably have that other candidates do not have? So that could be your technical knowledge. It could be your industry knowledge. It could be your soft skills. It could be something you've learned, that other people may not know or may not have, but something, just list it down. Then study the job description and come up with sample interview questions and answer them. One of the mistakes that people that are maybe not, at the early stage of their career, maybe they have pretty much gotten comfortable to interviewing. They have the tendency of just having an interview, not preparing enough for that interview, and going and feeling like, is it not interview? Is it not question they will ask me? I will know what to answer. But for you to ace these interviews, you need to be intentional in terms of preparation. Take a look at the job description and answer. Either you want to record yourself answering the questions. So think about possible questions that the employer or the recruiter will be asking you during that interview. Based on the job description, they will ask you something about wireframing, which is the biggest project you've worked on. What was your role in this project? I mean, look at the job description and come up with sample answers. That way, you will not be taken aback, and also be flexible, because they can ask you a question that you did not prepare for. But it is better you are prepared for certain questions, because when you are prepared, you answer it very confidently. You are not thinking, you will not be blank when answering those questions. Another thing I would say you should do before you go into an interview is to prepare questions you are going to ask at the end of that interview. You know why? Because I have actually had instances where the hiring manager, or maybe they get to the MD stage, and the MD will be like, I don't think we should hire that person. I'm like, why? He said, because the person didn't show like they're interested in working for us. And I'm like, how do you mean? He said, they didn't ask me any question. I would have expected that for someone that has not worked in the industry, they will have a lot more. They will have questions to ask. So it's actually a red flag if I invite you for an interview, you are meeting with the panel, you are meeting with the hiring manager, you don't have any question to ask. It shows you've not done your research, because if you've done your research, you will have questions. It shows you probably don't have as much interest, in working for us. So come up with questions. There are a couple of questions you can check online. How would you describe the company culture? Who would I be reporting to? Because again, there are two reasons why people take up job, either to earn or to learn. So if the person you are reporting to is not someone that has the kind of experience, that will influence you or influence your career, then you probably don't want to take the job, except maybe of course they are paying you like, blood money, they're paying you good money, yeah, then you should take it. But there are some questions I've listed out here that you should probably think of asking whenever you go for an interview. How is success measured for this role? Again, so there's this case where a friend told me about how he got into a company, and then in the 6th month, they tried to terminate him, and they said he didn't meet up with the measure of success for the role. And what's the measure of success? Nothing was defined. I advise people, and it's something I do in all the roles that I take up. I have a conversation with the hiring manager. What do you want me to accomplish within the first 30, 60, 90 days? That way we are on the same page. A lot of people are falling into the prey where some hiring managers, some HR people would, they would terminate their contract just because they don't feel like the person is meeting up to standard. What is the standard? Something that is just up in their head. So you will be protecting yourself if you are aligned in terms of how is this role going to be measured? How is success going to be measured for this role? That way you are focused on what you must achieve between the first 60 or 90 days. Okay, I've already put that question. And then the next one will be, what is the biggest challenge the team is or the company is facing? So you are aware, and then you can start thinking about creative ways, or probably suggest it on the call of what you can do to help them come out of that challenge. Okay, and then to answer the key question of today's presentation, what are hiring managers looking for? This particular slide is going to be useful now in terms of if you are looking for a job, and it's also going to be relevant if you get a job. Because it's one thing to get a job, it's another thing to keep a job. So the key things that managers, recruiters are looking for are, they are coined in what we call the KSA. What knowledge does this candidate have? Does the candidate have technical knowledge? Are you able to use your tools? What tools do you use? Those are your technical knowledge. How well do you know topography? How well do you make use of white spaces? How well do you design? How well do you pay attention to details? How well are your designs aligned? Those are technical knowledge. And then the other thing they are looking at is your industry knowledge. So if you've been, or some of the things you have within your portfolio, let's say within the boot camps where you've attended, you guys have designed product for maybe fintech, you most likely be attractive to fintech companies. If you design for Web3, you most likely be attractive to Web3 companies. So if you have a certain target of kind of companies or industry you want to work for, then your portfolio should reflect that industry. Design something for them. For a lot of people, I mean, they just like applying without going the extra mile. Have you ever thought about, and I think some people may have thought about it, there are some apps that you've used and you feel like, oh, the person that designed this thing probably didn't, take their time. You see some interfaces and you feel like, no, who designed this? This is not supposed to be so. How about you take some time and redesign, something for that brand and send to someone in high authority, say the MD, the CEO, the marketing manager, someone that you think has influence, someone that is able to give a say and, that can take a look at what you've designed and, give you the attention that you need or give you like a link to HR. So that's something you can do, and what product knowledge do you have? I'm still talking about, the knowledge. You should know technical knowledge, industry knowledge, product knowledge, organizational knowledge. How much of this organization do you know? How much of our product do you know? Have you worked in similar industry before? Have you built a certain product before? Have you designed a certain product before? These are very useful. That's what hiring managers are looking for. And then the next thing they are looking for is skills. Skills will be relevant now. It will be relevant where you are even in the organization. You've gotten that job opportunity. For every role, so there's what we call objective. So at the beginning of every year, companies basically have retreat where they are drafting out what the goals of the organization would be for that year, and then they draw up pillars. That goal is then cascaded into KPIs that is being shared at departmental level. So every department basically come up with how they are going to help the business achieve this goal that's been defined, yeah? And then at the departmental level, each member of the department draw up their own KPIs to say, this is how I contribute to achieving this departmental goal that contributes to the company's goal. You understand? That's how you see you're able to tell how your day-to-day tasks contribute to the departmental success and how our cumulative departmental effort contributes to the organizational goal. So the essence why your role is open, or the essence why the company has decided to advertise or hire you for this role, is because there's a need that they have identified. There's a need that you need to come and fulfill for them to be able to achieve their goal. So if you've been hired, to come and solve this, you've been hired into an organization and you are not solving the problem, you've been hired to come and solve a problem. So that's how you should see every opportunity you're given. If you've been given an opportunity to come and work at a place, just know that you've been given a problem to come and solve. So always ask yourself, what's the problem my role is solving? Because if you know it, you'll be more focused in ensuring that that problem is being solved. Because if it is not solved, over time, it will show that something is missing. This person is not delivering. That's why we are not meeting our numbers. Remember that it's the collaborative effort of everyone within a company that helps the company achieve the goal. For example, I as a recruiter, I have certain targets, certain roles I have to fill, that cut across sales, that cut across marketing. So if I don't fill those roles, for example, for sales, they will not be able to meet their numbers. If I don't fill the role for marketing, they will not be able to meet, they will not be able to acquire users. They will not be able to even retain users, because who is going to do it? The people that are supposed to come and do it are not available. So that is how everyone should think about their contribution to the company. Yeah. And then the second one is communication skill. Are you able to communicate within your department? Are you able to communicate to your colleagues? Are you able to communicate the problem? Are you able to communicate? Are you able to, communicate clearly? Can people decipher what you're trying to pass across? Yeah. Are you able to lead yourself? So a friend was telling me about a designer, and I'm talking about designers these days because I think the class is comprised of designers. There's a designer that a friend of mine that works in a different company was telling about. He just been newly recruited. I think it's about his 4th month, that they might be firing him soon. And I was asking, why are you firing him? It's just 4 months. And he said, this guy, you give him a task. It will take him forever to do that task. You send him an email, you to take him like 48 hours to attend to your email. You give him something, he will not follow the requirement of that thing. You have to still be giving him feedback. Someone like that cannot lead themselves, especially because, I mean, for most people, they work remotely. And again, I kind of marry it a bit to the fact that most designers work freelance, and then they underplay the importance of working in a corporate environment. You know, what corporate environment does for you is that it shapes some of these skills that you need. How, I mean, a business is running to achieve a goal. They've sent you an email 24 hours, 48 hours. You've not checked, you've not responded. You are not going to last on that job. You know, so it's very important while you are looking for those remote opportunities. Also be intentional about picking up workplace skills. Pick up that role that requires you to work in the office, because yes, it's going to be very, you know, uncomfortable for you. It's going to be inconvenience, but you're going to learn some skills that you will need in the long run. The other skills they look out for is analytical skills. How analytical are you? And in terms of abilities, are you a creative thinker? You can't be in design and you're not a creative thinker. Do you pay attention to details? You cannot work for a client or for the company and then we are seeing error in your work. How emotional intelligent are you? Do you manage your time well? These are some of the things. So if you don't take anything away from this conference, please master this particular slide, because this is going to be very much important. This is what we are all looking for. Is this person able to do their job? Do they have industry knowledge? Do they have product knowledge? What skills do they have? What abilities do they have? These are very important. Okay, and then during the interview, a few tips I've listed here. I'll say answer questions and cite relevant live instances. When you are giving a question during an interview, please relate it to live instances. Don't say something like, so for example, you are asked, what's the best project, or what project are you most proud of? Don't talk about there's a project. Well, I'll say how do I even put it? What project are you most proud of? Don't talk about, you know, a lot of projects. Be very factual in terms of, I remember this project that we work for XYZ. We were given a task to finish up in 30 days. I work with X number of people to be able to deliver in so time. I mean, talk about real life instances. I'm not sure if that was like the best scenario, but the what I'm trying to drive at is that when you are asked a question, please cite relevant live instances. They want to be sure you've done it before. The essence of interview is to ask to see your ability to do the work that you have been hired to do. So if you cite instances where you did it for your previous employer, for your previous client, it will stand you out. And then keep your answer concise and focused. I don't know, some people will attest to this. When you over talk during an interview, what it does is that they will keep poking into that response until you lose guard. So if you've been asked a question, focus on that question. Don't beat around the bush telling a lot of stories. Answer the question directly. Be focused, be concise, because you will shoot yourself in the foot if you over-deliver. And then don't be laid back. Nobody wants to work with people that have very low energy. It's unfortunate, but that is the truth. I don't want to invite you on an interview, and I've had a feedback. So I was hiring for a CRM specialist sometime last 2 months. And then the hiring manager came to me and said, Michael, did you speak with this candidate? I said, yes, I spoke with the candidate. He said, I was asking the other people on the panel, so they were private chatting themselves while on the interview, if this guy was drunk. The guy was so laid back. And it was, so when they told him he was going to have another interview, he said, again, another interview. You know, so the thing just put them off. And it was surprising that some few days after, the guy was messaging me to say, Alpha, when is he having the next interview? I said, how could you have put up such a bad show and you have the confidence to come and be asking for the next interview? You should know you've already spoiled the chances. The hiring manager already feels like, no, I can't work with this guy. We were basically asking ourselves if the guy was drunk, if it was all right. And I said I spoke with him, it was fine. So don't go to an interview. People want to work with energetic people. Yes, I understand. I understand that you are not so much of a talker, but guy, when you have that opportunity, it's is once it's an opportunity for you to showcase yourself. You know, like when they say you don't have a second chance to make a first impression. When you have that chance, please make it count. Don't be laid back. If you feel like you are not in a good place, you are sick, you may not be able to make the interview, please make it known to the recruiter. That way you can reschedule and better prepare, or maybe if when you are back on your feet, you can then have a proper interview. But don't be laid back in your interview, because if you are laid back, you send the wrong signal to the panel. And then the second one is, don't speak negatively about your previous employers. This one happened last week. So we invited a candidate for a role, and then we're asking her that, I mean, you seem to be staying, you have short stints in all your roles. What's the problem? And then she went about talking about how she left this organization because they were not keeping true to their word, how the place was toxic, how the next role, how they didn't confirm after 6 months she had to leave. You left and then you don't have a job. And I'm not saying that people don't have negative experiences. Believe you me, I've worked in places and I can tell you some places are toxic. And the advice I give to people that work in toxic environment is that I feel like, in fact, I support it that you rather be unemployed than be in a toxic environment, because you can be in a toxic environment and you lose yourself. Your self-esteem will be lost, and you are doing yourself more harm. So I mean, there's this phrase I like to use, or this quote I like to use: if it's costing you your mental health, then it's costing you too much. So I don't hold it against anyone if they have bad experiences in their former places or the places they've worked. But when you go for an interview, please downplay it. Downplay it. Don't be very detailed. Just say, oh, it's not something I like to talk about, but I feel like our values did not align, and move on. And then when they want to pry into it, just say, oh, you don't feel like talking too much about it because, you don't feel good talking about it, but you feel like you had good experiences with your colleagues. Spot the things you enjoy, the things you enjoyed in the environment, and don't talk about the negative. Otherwise, the employer will feel like, oh, so that means if something slightly goes wrong, this lady will go about telling other people about how unfair we were. So that's a red flag. Be conscious of your body language. So when you are in a video call, because I mean, most times these interviews are online, you have to learn to focus. There's an instance of a role I was hiring in my former place where the guy was basically, from the beginning of the interview to the end, he was basically writing something on his notes, on his notepad. And I wasn't in that interview. I got the feedback. The hiring manager was like, I don't want to move on with this guy. It seemed like he was looking at his responses in a notepad. And then I got on the call with the guy and I'm like, what happened during the interview? He said, no, you were just taking notes based on the questions that he was asked and, some of the things that the employer was discussing. So he was taking note to research, some other time or after the interview. And I said, next time, please, when you need to take notes, let the interviewer or the hiring manager know that, oh, sorry, I might be taking down some notes. Is it okay I take down notes? So that when you are taking down notes, they don't think you are just checking for answers or you have something you've documented down. For some other people, they have double screens. So the interviewer is expecting you to look at the camera, but you are looking at your second screen. And I begin to feel like, what's she looking at? Why is she not facing me? Be conscious of that, because, you could send some wrong signals. Another thing I say, be very natural. Smile. It's just a conversation at the end of the day. Because one of the key things that people are looking at, aside your technical skill, they are looking at, can I work with this person? Is this person a jovial person? Can this person, will I feel comfortable working with this kind of person? So if you are that person that you are not smiling on the corner, I'm not saying just go and be laughing sheepishly, but I'm saying if you need to smile, smile. If you need to ask questions, just be natural, be yourself. You most likely win the heart of the interviewer and the recruiter when you are yourself, as opposed to being stiff or just, taking things too casually. And if you take it too casually, of course, it will also, signal a red flag. Then the next one is focus on the camera. Okay, I've talked about it, focus on the camera. And then the last one, be truthful. If you are asked a question in an interview you don't know, please say you don't know, that you will take some time and go and do some research after the interview. Don't try to feign or try to answer something you are not sure of, because you might look stupid. It's something that they probably will be looking out for you, looking out for. They might ask you a question they feel like will be very difficult for you, just to see how you respond to it. And then when you get into the interview, again, this is another slide you need to pay close attention to. Remember the STAR method of answering questions. So there are different questions that you would encounter when you go into an interview. So some will be technical, some will be scenario based, some will be product based. I mean, there are a lot of them. But when you have any question that is scenario based, that will typically start with, tell me about a time where you did this. What will you do if you do this? What did you do in your last employment? Please always remember the STAR model. The STAR model, is basically talking about the situation, the task, the action, and the result you had. So, and I've shown it in different proportions. So take some time, about 20% of your response to talk about the situation. Take the remaining 10% to talk about the task. What was the task you were given? So whatever question you are given, think about it from that level, from that perspective of what was the situation, what was the task, what was the action I took, what was the result. This is very much important. That way you are giving a robust answer. You cannot be found wanting when you always use the STAR model. That's what employers want to, that's what employers are expecting you, to do whenever you are asked, these kind of questions. And I've gone ahead to share, an example, and this may not be like in a work example, but maybe in the school. So the situation is, we say when I was in junior high school, there were several students in my class. This is the situation. We were struggling with some of the most difficult and complex concepts. What was the task? What did the person do? He said, with the upcoming national exam, I was asked by the maths teacher to start an after-school session to assist the other student. That's the task. The action, I stayed after school twice a week to review classes, materials, and homework. I created a comprehensive study guide. I demonstrated best method for solving difficult problems, explained strategies that work for me, developed new problems to help them practice. And then the result was our class average for the national exam was the highest it had been in the last 10 years and all of that. So this is just a typical example of how to use the STAR model. Memorize this. When you are practicing for the interview, think about the STAR model. What situation will I spot? What tasks did I do? What actions, did I employ? And what result was it did I obtain? And then the other one is what to do after the interview. So immediately after the interview, they're saying, oh, thank you so much. Do you have any question for us? Aside the question I've highlighted before, one of the other questions you should ask is, what are the next steps? One of the key things I like to do, and it's something I'm trying to introduce for my new employment, because I've just been 4 months here, is that I typically like to create a candidate experience document that highlight the different stages of interview you go through for every role, how long each of those interviews will be, what the focus of those interviews will be, who are the interviewers for these different interviews, so that you're able to prep yourself. So if you decide to take an interview with us, you already know how long this will take. You already know the people you are gonna be meeting. You already know how long each of the interview would take, and the focus of each of those interviews, but ask for next step. A lot of employers will not do that, are not doing that right now. So ask so that you're able to prep yourself. And then conduct a post-interview evaluation. There was a very important interview I took sometimes 2 months ago, and I didn't get the job. I was so pained, and I was asking myself, what did I do wrong? That was like a dream job. And so I had a lot of questions. I reached out to the interviewer, the recruiter, to say, please, I would like to get some feedback on what you think I could do better next time. But I'm saying conduct a post-interview evaluation. Were there areas you thought you didn't provide enough, you didn't provide sufficient response to? Were there areas you know that you didn't answer properly? Go back and do a review, because another interview will come up. If you don't take stock of the areas where you had flaws, you'll probably not do better in your next interview. So it is always important that you do an evaluation. Then send a thank you note to the hiring manager. So I've put as appendix in this slide different emails you can send to either hiring managers or recruiters or people within the organization to get you, conversations with them and ultimately help you maybe get referral within company. One of the key things you should try and do is to say thank you emails to the hiring manager. What it does is that a lot of people are taking the interview and they are just going to wait for feedback. But by sending a thank you note, you pop up in the mind of the hiring manager, and you most likely go and remember that, oh, this person really do well. Oh, this person stood out. It's just about the story about. I mean, and I mean, I know some people are not Christian here, but there's a story of the Bible in the Bible where Jesus healed, lepers, and then only one person came. One of the lepers came to say thank you. I mean, you know how he blessed the leper. That's typical. Is same for hiring managers. When you go back to say thank you, you pop up in their mind, and then they're able to maybe say, maybe this guy, he was able to answer questions. I think maybe just because he's able to reach out, he probably has more passion, or he probably wants the job more. Who knows? It might just give you gives you the opportunity to take the role, and then follow up with recruiters or hiring managers over 2 weeks without a response. So if you've applied for a job without getting a response, please email the recruiter to say, please, I applied for the job. I've not gotten any response. I'm just checking to see if you saw my CV. Because again, recruiters don't check all profiles, but if you reach out to them, you'll go and check your profile. So make it an habit to reach out to them. And then the other one I talk about is learn to handle rejections. Not all the roles you apply for are going to end up with a job offer. In fact, ask most people that are very professional, are probably working in their choice organization. Earlier on in their experience, and even now, they get a lot of rejections. Rejection for me is like, okay, it's your loss. That's where I take it, and it's the best way to handle rejection. I feel like I'm bringing a lot of value to your organization. You don't want to give me the chance. Oh, no, it's your loss. We move. That's how I typically go about it. And I think it's the same way you should go about it. Because if you don't do that, it can weigh you down and weigh you down for a long time. That way you're not productive for yourself and you're not able to even forge ahead. And then I would say continue your job search. If you don't get that job at first instance, please continue your job search until you get the ideal role. And then I'm rounding up right now. I know I've taken a bit more time. I've gone ahead to list out some tech resources I think will be useful for job hunting. So if you feel like right now you are doing a lot of job hunting, there are a couple. If you check online, you see much more than I've listed here, but I've just taken some according to their area of focus. So wizard.co used to get email of hiring managers and recruiters, a couple more. So you want to email a hiring manager, you don't have their email address, they are not answering your LinkedIn message, go and look for their email address. Look for email address. You can use wizard.co. There are other platforms you can check online. And then Live Career Apply, the extension simplifies the online application process. So certain information about you, your name, your email address, the app basically houses them. And then when you go on a job site, it populates them automatically to you. So you are not filling as many information as you typically fill from Afresh. And then we have MailTrack. So MailTrack tracks email activity and lets you know whether an email has been opened by the recruiter or not. So if you send an email with MailTrack, you are able to tell if your email was opened. You send an email to someone, when your email is open, you will get a notification that, oh, this person has opened your email. You can tell, and then you can take stock of how many of your emails are open and how many are not open and why they are not open. You can basically re-strategize. And then my interview practice is an interview simulator platform that you can use for mock interviews. And there are different roles you can, basically practice for. So when you're preparing for an interview, is essentially useful that you go to some of these platforms and practice. And JobScan helps you optimize your resume for ATS based on the JD. There are other ones, Resume Worded, and a few others. And then Idealist for people that are looking. For people that are looking for volunteering, internship, and remote opportunities, you can check Idealist or basically check other job boards. And then ShapeR, is a professional networking app. I use an algorithm to suggest professional matching interests. So you want to meet people of like interest, people that are within the same profession, that have similar interests with you. You can, log into ShapeR. And then I think I've been talking for too long, and I just want to summarize. So my final thoughts. Job readiness is basically about the following: having a mind shift. You can get any job that you want to get if you put in the time, if you invest in your relationship and do all of that. If you have a well-packaged CV, if you optimize your LinkedIn page, if you utilize and grow your network, if you answer interview questions with the STAR model, and if you are conscious about what every employer is looking for which is your knowledge, skill, and abilities. And of course, I say stay positive. On a final note, I would say if you are applying for a job and you're not getting interview, please check your resume. If you are getting interviews and you're not getting offers, please check your interviewing skills. Thank you. So the other ones here, I don't know if it will be useful to you, but I have like a sample of different email samples you can use for people within your network. So for example, people that work within a certain organization you aspire to work in, send them an email. I don't know, maybe I can share this on the chat. It might be useful to a few people. So this is for if you're reaching out to someone for just an informational section. And then if you're reaching out for career advice, this is it. Essentially, anything you can do to get a connection to people that work within the organization that you like to work in. All these, samples will be very useful to you. You want to reach out to a recruiter. There's a sample here. You want to reach out to the hiring manager after you submitted an application. There's a sample here. If you want to send a thank you note to the recruiter, there's something here. You've been rejected. And again, so this is not something that is common, but you can give it a shot. You've applied for a role, you have been turned down. Don't just take no for an answer. Can you send an email like this, just reiterating your skill set and the value you think you can add to the team and asking for a second chance? So on this note, I want to say thank you once again to everyone. I appreciate this opportunity. I welcome questions.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. Like, when you eat some food and you're like, I'm full, I'm satisfied. Like, this is such a bundle of knowledge. Thank you very much for sharing your insights with us. And we definitely love you to share the slides with us as well. Like, it's packed. So it's really packed. Okay, so I think we have some questions in the chat box already.
Okay.
Yeah. So because we have a lot of chats. Okay, the first person, Kunle Fajimi, asked, as a graphic designer, can I share my Instagram page as my portfolio instead of Behance?
I'm wondering why you want to share your Instagram page as opposed to Behance, because every other person within the industry as a designer, I think it's a go-to platform for all designers. I think you should share your Behance as opposed to your Instagram page, because I think it's more professional. But if you want to share both, all good. But I think you should stick to Behance. That's what the industry, is familiar with.
All right, thank you very much for that. Okay, if you have questions, you can do well to raise your hands. Once I finish reading the questions in the chat, I would get to you. So the second one, sometimes, Amida Mohammed asked, sometimes hiring managers give positive feedbacks during the course of the interview sessions and end up serving rejection letters. How do you know what went wrong? Because it really has some negative effects on one's drive. Yeah.
Okay. I would say that this is something that I see happen a lot for most of you, most of you that have interviewed, especially with Nigerian interviewers, you can most likely tell when an interview is not going well because they are not good at hiding their their emotions at all. You'll be seeing if the looks on their faces. Have you interviewed with a foreigner where they'll be laughing and telling you, oh, we really enjoyed you, and you are so happy with yourself that no, I think I know this. I think foreign interviews are the most deceitful. You'll feel like you are, because they'll be smiling with you. They'll be telling you that, oh, it's all good. But but to answer your question, I would say that the reason why hiring managers don't like to share direct feedback, and HR in general, is that they fear litigations. So sometimes a recruiter or a hiring manager don't want to tell you the main reason why they are turning down. So sometimes you might have the technical skill, it might just be something about the feedback they've gotten, maybe either based from your reference or maybe some people they've asked. They might have certain reason why they know they don't want to hire you, but they will not tell you because they don't want you to take it up against them. So I would say that for what you should do is try sending an email to either the hiring manager or someone on the panel or the recruiter asking for feedback. Some of them will not respond. Others might, respond. They might be willing to, jump on a call with you to share. They might not want to maybe give you documented feedback because either they are just, like I said, they're afraid of you taking up anything against them. But if that is not, if that's not possible, I would say you do a stock of, the entire interview and pinpoint where you possibly think, things went wrong or where you didn't give sufficient responses to the question.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Amida also asked, sorry, Mohammed, what do you have to say as regards niching down too early? And how long can one be a generalist for? In the case of a designer trying to carve a winning portfolio.
Can you take the first part of the question again? Sorry.
So what do you have to say as regards niching down too
Okay,
early?
niching. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. So I would say that, and this is similar to people that job on. So you are new in your career. You've been given an opportunity in an environment because you see that some of your colleagues are working in other places and are earning more. You feel like you want to jump out. I think it's actually similar. So in terms of how growth is seen, so you are either growing vertically or horizontally. So if you're in an environment where you feel like you are learning a lot, and this is, peculiar to, your design field, the person you are working with, you are learning a lot. I would say take some time and ensure that you are very much rooted before you spread yourself. Take some time to learn, gather everything that you need, because there's a difference between experience and quality experience. For most people, they have experience, they don't have quality experience. So don't be too much in a haste to want to diversify. Instead, understand the basic. Take the time to learn the rudiment, the basic, because whether you like it or not, you might be in a hurry, but the basic is what stands the test of time. You need to take your time and be sure you are rooted, because that's what gives you confidence. When you are rooted, you are able to go to other environments and you can present your work. You are more confident to speak to people because you are very sure that where you are coming from, you took the time, you paid the price, and right now you are just basically coming to showcase yourself. So don't be too much in a hurry, because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, no matter how fun an environment might look, a company might be, they are still performance driven. So it will show ultimately if you are just made up of fluffy things, you are not rooted, it will show up, because the fact that we are paying you means that we have every right to demand quality from you. So if you're not rooted, you'll be giving out shitty work. So I would say take some time to be rooted before you spread yourself. And in terms of timeline, that will be dependent on the quality of experience you've gathered.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, the next question, quickly. How do we undo companies that give technical assessment that requires a longer timeline to complete as opposed to the short time frame provided by the company? This sometimes results in one not meeting up with the deadline.
Okay, so I would say that if a company reaches out to you to take an assessment, I would say if you are not able to take the assessment within this specified time, please ask for extra time. And I agree that not all organizations are going to be that flexible, but you also need to be conscious about the kind of organization you're applying to. So because I've been within the tech environment, one of the key things that I try to do with all my employers is that, first of all, with techies, they like to be invested. They want to be sure that they want to work for an organization before they even want to attend to assessment, because they don't have all the time. They have projects they are working on, so they want to be sure it's the right opportunity. So how about you just have some call with them, let them meet the hiring manager, let them meet some people on the panel to be sure that, they like the people, they like the product that they are going to be working on before you send them an assessment. That way, when you send them an assessment, they would dedicate the time to do it. But if an organization sends you an assessment that you cannot do within a specified time, please reach out to them and tell them why you can't do it. But if you can say, if you can do it, please try and do it. But if not, please, it's very much okay to send an email to them to say, oh, sorry, for XYZ reason, I'm not able to meet the timeline. Can I submit XYZ time? If they're interested in your profile, they'll most likely give you that, that opportunity to submit later.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry,
Thank
I
you.
just a minute. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. So because of time, we're just going to take one last question from Tolokwe. So Tolokwe that is raising your hand. Please unmute your mic and ask your question. Just this final question because our second speaker is already on the call with us so that we can actually move on to the next session. Thank you. So Tolokwe, please unmute your mic and ask your question.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Michael, for this amazing part section. I want to ask, as you said earlier, that we can give feedback after rejection. I got the rejection, but that rejection letter said they placed my CV aside for an opportunity in case if there's an opportunity left. But I got devastated and I could not reply at that moment. And it's like over 3 weeks now because I did a test and I got that rejection letter after the test and everything. But they said they were impressed, but they that they found someone better, but they placed my CV aside. So can I still send them a feedback note to appreciate the time and opportunity they gave me to exercise my creativity and to know if to look forward if there's opportunity left ahead for me? That's just the
Yes.
question.
Yes. I'll say yes. It's not late to send them an email to say, oh, thank you for the opportunity to interview. As indicated in your email, I'm still very much interested. I'm still very much interested in your organization. As indicated in your email, I look forward to an opportunity to maybe interview for any other role that fits my profile or fit my experience. So yes, it's very possible. It's still within timeline for you to send them an email.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Michael. We really greatly value your insights and your experience that you've given to us today. Would implore you to please drop your social media handles. So please do well to follow Mr. Michael. And unfortunately, we'll not be able to take more questions now, but subsequently we'll be able to reaching out to him. You can ask your questions, and subsequently during the conference, our second speaker would speak and you can ask your question also as well. So thank you very much, Mr. Michael, for that wonderful presentation. And yeah, thank you so much. So
Thank you.
yeah, so please can we get the slide for your presentation if you can?
Yes, I'll send it to you after the conference.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Okay. So we have the second speaker with us already. Zainab, over to you.
Yeah. Yes. Hello. I hope that session, like everyone enjoyed that session. I know I did, and I got a lot of tips and gems from it. So for our next session, we welcome Mr. Joe Brendan to the virtual stage. Mr. Joseph Brendan is a senior technical instructor at Dev and Design. If you follow him anywhere on social media, especially Twitter, you know that he's passionate about design and engineering. He specializes in a wide range of technologies like user interface design with Figma, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, TypeScript, React.js, Node.js, Express.js, Python, so many developer tools. He's just good at what he does, and now he's here to share his insights on what designers can do better in clinching a job in the design space. So welcome, Mr. Joe Brendan. You can take it away from here.
You're welcome. Thank you, Zainab.
Yes.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. So first of all, I have to apologize for coming in late. Something beyond my own powers made me come in late. So thank you everybody, and I think I'll just go straight to business. So in today's session, I'll just make it more practical. I'll make it a more practical session, and I'll be talking about what you should have in mind whenever you are going into a UI UX design assessment. And you should also know what the person or the people leading the assessment would be looking out and would be expecting from you. So first things first, there are two major types of assessment that you may encounter whenever you are looking for a UI UX design job. And there are live assessments or non-live assessments. So sometimes these live assessments are called whiteboarding sessions. Some companies, many companies actually, would always have a stage during their interview process where they would conduct a whiteboarding session. And what this session is all about is just them seeing you design in real time, or them seeing you solve a design problem, so that they can see your thought process and see how you arrive at your solutions. So we are going to focus on what is expected of you during a whiteboarding session, because trust me, you might scale through all the other steps of assessment that are not live. They might like your portfolio, they might like your resume, but when you get to the whiteboarding session, this is where human sentiment always come in. Sometimes you might be a very good designer, but the person or the technical lead trying to hire you might be looking for a designer that communicates during their design process, or might be looking for a designer that doesn't guess, or might be looking for a designer that has speed. Now, such things are assessed during a whiteboarding session, but still, not everyone is going to be fast. Not everyone is going to be a good communicator, and not everyone knows what they want to do from the start. Many people do best when they guess from the beginning and find a direction down the line. So we are going to focus on how you can still impress everyone during your live assessment, your whiteboarding session. And all the things we are going to look at will be applicable also during your non-live assessment. You can implement those or some of them during your non-live assessments. So during a whiteboarding session, one thing everyone wants to see, or one thing you should always focus on, is to focus on your design process or framework. Approach a live assessment with a design process or framework. Now, this is better than you not making a decision quickly, or this is better than you even being fast. When you want to approach any problem, it is always best for you to outline the framework or outline the steps you want to use in solving that problem. For example, if you are in an assessment and you are asked to design a solution that can make people order food faster, don't just jump in and say, okay, we will create a form to collect their data. We will send that form to the back end, and people there will then give us a confirmation. Don't rush into that. Come up with a process. And this process can't be formulated before you even go there, because you have to know about the solution or the problem before you start thinking about the process for a solution. So one thing you should always have in mind also is ask questions. This makes you seem like you know what you're doing. Not even makes you seem, it shows that you know what you're doing when you ask questions. And these questions should not be here and there. Ask direct questions. Who are the users? Questions like that. Who are the users? What are the users looking for? Questions like that are very direct. Avoid asking questions like, so we use customers, or will it be used by the people who want to order the food or carry it? Just make it direct. Who are the users of this? To give you an answer. Who are the users? These are the users. The delivery men, the customers who buy the food are the users of this particular feature, and so on and so forth. And make your questions to be very clear. Avoid using that it's not clear to everyone, because this is what happens. Many people, when you tell them things that are not clear to them, rather than them ask you back, like, please, can you re-explain that? Many people won't tell you to re-explain. They'll go ahead and make it more problematic for you by putting in words in their own statement that they cannot also explain. Then the both of you end up being or creating a solution that won't work, and they would end up not liking it. So ask very direct questions and use very plain, very common whiteboarding session. So first things first, come up with a framework. The moment you are given a problem, come up with a framework or come up with a process. Now, let me give an if there is a problem, you might say, okay, for a problem like this, I would propose this. Goes this. I would want us to carry out a competitor analysis. You'd spell that out. You just, because during the live session, you will be in Figma also. You will also be in Figma doing it. So that's now up to you to then start sketching out. And the idea you write competitor analysis. After that, you say, after the competitor analysis, we will come to know what the competitors do for their customers. Then I would want us to use that solution. Then you come up, pick solution from competitor. Then you tell them also during the session that when we pick the solution, or wireframes or low fidelity wireframes for that solution, you'd write that down here. You'd use your arrow point to connect this framework. So this is you building a process. This is you building a process, building a framework. The reason frameworks are the most liked way to solve problems is that frameworks are always broken into chunks. So when a process is broken into chunks, it is easy to say, okay, this process or this step of the process is faulty. So let us solve only this step. It's okay, right? So when you create a framework, it is easier for you to troubleshoot step by step, bit by bit, so you can arrive at your solution. Now, companies who know what they are supposed to hire would always prefer you to use to just jump into problem solving. That can cost a lot of money. So come up with your design or ask questions. These are qualities that will sell you off as somebody that you can communicate. Now, one other thing you should always keep in mind during a whiteboarding session, you should always keep in mind that your will be assessed heavily. It will be assessed heavily. So things like your color choice, right? Your color choice, the way you use colors, right? Let's say your color usage. So this is how to not offend anyone during such a session. Avoid using very bright or very colors that can be neutral. Many times just use black and white if it's a whiteboarding session. Many times use black. Have different opinions. People have different sentiments when it comes to colors. So the only way you can when it comes to colors is to use neutral colors, gray, black, white. During your whiteboarding session, that will spark an opinion. If you use blue, someone might just tell you, this is a health app. Do you think
Sorry, Mr. Joseph, your network is skipping really, really badly. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'd like to know if it is clearer now.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
All right. So when you're session, always know that your colors should be neutral. Don't go in there and start doing most color theory practices, because you might spend 15 minutes doing that, and the person that maybe thinks every designer is using blue, and such sentiments are always present. So to avoid such sentiments, taking grayish colors or black colors, just stay within this range. Black to this point. Use any color within this range from here to this point vertically, right? To this point. Use color gray, white to black. Use any of those colors during your whiteboarding session. Don't use any other white, black. Just use white and black so that you don't get hit by sentiment.
Sorry, sir, it's still skipping.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. So let's give him a moment to check that out.
Give me a second.
All right.
I'd like to know how the sound is now.
Okay, it sounds sharp now, but maybe as you continue, so we'll
All
know.
right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Just let me know if it starts breaking.
Okay.
All right. So we have covered these 3 points. These 3 points should be kept in mind whenever you are in a whiteboarding session. Always come up with a framework first before you start putting anything in place. Before you start designing at all during that session, come up with a framework. Always ask questions. This will show that you can communicate effectively. Then when trying to use colors during your whiteboarding session, stick to anything from white to black. Just stay within the black shades and white shades. Then also, during your whiteboarding session, one other thing that will be assessed heavily is your usage of text, how you use and design text. So that's typography, right? So for this, I would also suggest that you use the most common font families out there. And these common font families are Roboto, Inter, or Poppins. Use any of these 3. When you use font families that are not very common, you also put yourself at the risk of being hit with someone else's sentiment. And this is because the people who interview you are human beings, right? The people who interview you are human beings. They are not from another planet. So they have sentiments just like we all do. So for you to stay neutral, use font families like Inter, Roboto, or Poppins so that you stay on track. And also, don't over-design the text. One thing you should always keep in mind that you should use a lot is visual hierarchy for the text. If you can implement visual hierarchy during your whiteboarding session, you are good. By visual hierarchy, I mean let all the title text be more present visually than the body text. So I think we should all know this. If you have, let's say, a title of article, right, and you want to have a body text right under this title, for example, let the title text have more visual command, let it have more visual presence than the body text. For example, let's say this is the body text. You can see that there is not enough visual difference between this and this. Now, during your whiteboarding session, one thing you can do when designing your text that can save you other things, or that can save you so many other points, is to just implement visual hierarchy. Come here, always make sure that your body text It's not as present and not as bold as your title text. So let your title text be more present, have brighter colors than the body text. Designing your title text and your body text like this would easily sell you off as someone who understands visual design principles. Not as someone, it would sell you as you understand visual design principles. So little points like this would make you stand out from other people who participate in such sessions. So avoid giving your body text the same presence as the presence you give to your title text. So keep it in mind that your typography will be assessed. Now, most importantly, during your whiteboarding session, you would most likely have a designer in there. Most of the time, such sessions are headed by the designers in that company you want to work in, right? And what they want to look at actually is not your resume anymore. They are not trying to assess your resume or your portfolio anymore. They want to see how you do it. So these things would make them grow sentiment, positive sentiment towards you, like, oh, this person know what they are doing. This person actually can work with us. Now, also, when you are doing whatever you are doing during the session, always explain your steps over and over. Explain your steps over and over. Don't keep quiet during a whiteboarding session. Don't keep quiet during a whiteboarding session. If you keep quiet, then it might seem as if you are trying to figure things out too much. So while you are designing during a whiteboarding session, explain your steps. When you draw a rectangle, say things like, okay, let me bring in a frame so I can use that frame to create the form. Say things like that while you are designing during the whiteboarding session. So be very, very clear with the words also. If you bring in the frame, you say, okay, I'll keep this frame here. And for the form, I would want the form to have a corner radius because all the other buttons on the user interface have corner radius also. And my corner radius is 12. These discussions like this make them understand your process better. But if you keep quiet and you just design and you keep quiet till you are done designing, it might seem as if, okay, it was a nice design, but it was not an interesting session. So a whiteboarding session is also supposed to be interesting because you are talking to human beings, and human beings would always love what is more interesting than what is not interesting. So always communicate your whole design flow during the process. You can say, okay, I'll bring in my text now, and I'll create a new text here, and I'll make this text 16 pixels because that's what the body text has. Okay, can I shoot it up to 20? Then you go ahead, you just talk like that throughout the process. Don't keep quiet. If you keep quiet, human sentiment might play to your disadvantage. So always talk during the session. Also, one thing you should also make sure you talk about is the accessibility of the design you are creating. Yeah. So always point out the actions that you take that will improve the accessibility of the design. Always point out the actions that you take that will improve the accessibility of the design. So let's say you are trying to create a button for the first time during the session. When you create the button and you want to give it a color, right? Let's say you give it this color and you want to write on the button, let's say login. Now, when you are writing this text and you come here to give the color to the text, right? Make sure you also say things like, this is going to be very, very user-friendly. The accessibility guidelines or the accessibility standards for this button is very okay because there is a good contrast between the text and the background of the text. Such statements would also let them know that you know about color accessibility, you know about text accessibility, you know about all these things that they will need in their organizations. So during your whiteboarding session, make sure you bring this up. Accessibility is very modern and almost every company want to meet those standards these days. So as a UX designer, bring this in because this is very, very needed these days. Then also, I would also want you to lay emphasis on your layout. Let the team also know let the team interviewing you also know that you know very well about layouts. let them know that you know well about layout. So you can always make that statement also. I would bring in my frame layout. I would create this, and okay, for this element, I would create it using an auto layout. I would create this using a regular layout. When you make such statements like that, of course, many other people on that panel would definitely ask you questions. This is you giving them questions to ask. And these are questions that you can also answer. At the end of the session, someone might ask you, why did you choose an auto layout as the layout for the button and not a regular layout? Then you give them your own response. That also makes them sentimental positively towards you. So the goal is to make sure you drive positive sentiment towards yourself during a whiteboarding session. And I am very happy for this webinar today because it is mostly during the whiteboarding sessions that people get dropped. And I have seen some situations where it is the most likable persons that scale through the whiteboarding session, not the most skilled persons. And it is not fair, right? It is not fair. So you as a skilled person, try as much as possible, not to be likable though, not to be likable by all means. You can be likable, that's fine. But if you are not someone who can easily make people like you, try as much as possible to at least communicate and make the session interesting. If you can't make anyone like you, try as much as possible to communicate and make the session very interesting. And to make it interesting is just to communicate, talk throughout, make sure you have a direction, have a framework, ask questions, don't offend them with your color design, don't offend them with your text design, explain your steps over and over, then bring in the accessibility topic into the whole workflow. And then also talk about developers in your whiteboarding session, developer handoffs. Talk about how you always love your designs to be handed off to the developers. Now, this is also important because in some companies, they always invite one developer from the engineering team to join the whiteboarding session, right? So talk about developers, developer handoffs. Talk about product manager relations also. This is because during your whiteboarding sessions also, product managers will also be there. One or two of them will be there. Now, the whiteboarding sessions, mostly you would find designers there, product managers, and at least one developer. So since these people are a panel, you are not there to please only the designer. You are not there to make the session interesting for only the designer. Your design won't be used at the design or only in the design department. Your design will also be used by the engineers. So you need to also build that trust instantly between you and the engineer there so that they can know that, oh, this is the candidate I feel we, the developers, can work with. The product managers would also say, this is the candidate I feel we can work with best. The moment you have yes, yes, yes from almost everyone in the whiteboarding session, then you know that you stand a very high chance of getting that role or of scaling that stage. So talk about developer handoffs, product manager relations. Also, if there is any other person from any other department that is in that whiteboarding session, you should know about it. You should know about it. If you don't know about it, ask also. Ask for the people who are there. Try to know the people who are in the session and which department is this person from, sales, engineering, and so on and so forth. So if someone from the sales department is also there, during your whiteboarding session, try to make it that you also consider that person from the sales department. That way, you are buying people to your side so that they understand that your design is going to be a design that they can work with from in all departments. So like I always tell people, job assessments are handled by human beings. And many a times, human traits will always come in 20 to 30%, no matter how they try to tone it down. Human traits, human behaviors will come in. Sometimes you just go to an interview and someone don't like you from you just saying hello. Some people won't just like you because they are human beings. So also, don't take on time-consuming tasks. And this is something that's very important. Your whiteboarding session is not where you should go and start creating survey questions that will be sent out via Google Form. And that's not the time where you go to Google Form to start creating the survey itself, except you are asked to only do that. And also, your whiteboarding session is not where you should go and start, let's say, creating a sitemap and an information architecture, right? That's not where you are supposed to do that also. That must have been seen in your portfolio already. You must have done that in your Behance portfolio or your own personal website, right? So your whiteboarding session is mainly to see how you do your things, mainly to see how you design. Most people will be interested to see how you move in Figma, how you come at your solutions in Figma, and so on and so forth. So during your whiteboarding session, during your live assessment, don't take on time-consuming tasks. Make sure that anything you want to do should be something that can be interesting and won't last at least more than 3 minutes, because sometimes it's 15 minutes. Sometimes the session is 30 minutes. So don't use 20 minutes to only create a sitemap. Don't use 20 minutes to only create a sitemap. And also, don't talk down on your actions. Don't talk down on your actions during a whiteboarding session. This is something we do subconsciously. Somebody wants to create a shape with the pen tool during their session. They come here, click, and when they click, they make a mistake. They say, oh, what's this? Then they start, making the whole session look as if they are whining. You must have sparked negative sentiment against yourself, right? So try as much as possible to not talk down on your actions during your session. Your anxiety might be up, but during that session, know that all you need to do is to make the session interesting. And to make a session to be very interesting, you don't need to bring in any possibility of you having negative sentiment towards you. So don't talk down on your actions during the whiteboarding session. Be very cool and very confident about what you do in that session. Then we are also going to talk about design principles. Spell out your design principles. Spell out your design principles. Now, it is very common to see that when a job is being advertised, you see it is very common for you to get 200 applications in just 10 minutes. It's very common for you to get 300 applications in 20 minutes. But what's not very common is seeing someone that can actually fit in for the role. That's not very common, right? And why is it not common? It's not common because almost all of the 200 people who would apply are the same. Almost all of the 200 people who would apply do the same thing, sell the same value, say it the same way, do it the same way, and know the same things, right? So the easiest way to stand out during any interview session is to be very, very clear on the principles and the terminologies around that industry. Now, design principles are very important. Many designers, or some designers actually, would not easily talk about design principles because they actually know how to make a design look good. They just bring the color, blend it in, and it looks good. But what is also going to sell you off as a very confident and as a deep-rooted person in design is if you talk about these principles, right? These principles with your mouth while you are designing. Say these principles out. And as you are applying any of that principle, let the panel hear that it is this principle that you are applying here in this design. It is that principle that you applied there in that design. So spell out your design principles clearly so that they know that you are not guessing. They know that you are not guessing. They also know that you are not just doing something you can only do once. That's very common in tech also. It's a very common thing in tech. People can do so many things just once, right? That's why sometimes you see someone who let's say for the developers, you might see a developer who is looking for a job, and the only thing they know how to build is an e-commerce platform, because that's what they watched while they were learning on Udemy, right? And if you tell them to build something apart from that, even if it's similar, they won't know how to go about it. So it is very common for you to see designers and developers who can actually do just one thing, or who can do something just once, because that's what they used in learning. So what will easily stand you out from every other designer is to spell out these things clearly. Let the people in the panel know that you are very knowledgeable about this thing. And secondly, let them know that you don't make random decisions. So when you make a decision in the canvas, you back it up by a principle. You make a decision, you back it up by a principle. There are many design principles out there. There are many design principles. There's the Norman theory. There is the Jacobs. You have the Jacobs principles. You have other basic principles, right? You have the Hicks law and so on and so forth. Any of them that you are using during your design process, spell them out. Don't just create that beautiful stuff and keep quiet about it. Anything you create at all, that thing is beautiful. So always say that I use this principle here. Let's give glory to that thing that you have created, right? So that it would come out as, okay, this person actually knows what they are doing. So, because it's a live assessment, you are there with human beings. Don't forget that. Don't forget that at all. You are there with human beings. And to make human beings like you, or to make human beings trust you, you have to behave like a human being too. So, and lastly, I would say say what you can do and can't during that session. Say what you can do and can't. Now, it is very common for you to want to overplease these persons during your whiteboarding session. It's very common for you to want to overplease them. So while you are trying to overplease them, don't try to do what you are not good at. Or don't try to do what you can't do. The moment you start doing it and you fail in the process, that's a negative sentiment you have drawn to yourself, right? Say what you can do and can't. So if you are coming up with a solution for the problem that they have given to you during that session, don't try to come up with a solution that involves something in design that you can't do. Then when you come up with the solution and you try to do it, then you fail, right? Stick to your strengths. Stick to it, right? Stick to your strength. Don't overbeat it. Yes, you are there to please them, but don't try to make yourself fail in the process of trying to overplease them. So say what you can do and what you can't do. Don't do what you cannot do, or don't do what you are not good at doing during your whiteboarding session. Make sure you do 98% of the things that you know how to do very well. The things you don't know how to do, don't attempt it. That's your stage to shine. You are not there to practice anymore. You are there to shine. So stick to 98% of the things you know how to do very well. If you are good at creating shapes with the pen tool, during your whiteboarding session, try as much as possible to do it. That's one thing also. If you are very skilled with creating, let's say, assets using the pen tool, right? During your whiteboarding session, even if there is no need for an asset, try to create the need for an asset. You get it? If there is no need for an asset, try to create the need for it so that you can create an asset for them to see. Because that's what you are very good at doing. So don't leave the things that you are not, or don't leave the things that you are good at doing to do the things that you are not very good at. That you're not liking yourself very much, right? So these points are very practical points. Of course, there are some points out there. There are some points out there that you may see online also. But I think what I like to say about whiteboarding sessions is that I like to approach it from a human angle. I like to approach it more from a human angle. I like to approach it more from a practical angle as human beings, right? So I don't want us to just only talk about have your portfolio and talk about the research, the research framework. Yes, talk about all of that here during the design process and framework. But like I have said, don't spend too much time there so that you don't bore them, right? Just talk about your framework that you would use for a solution or for a problem like that. Talk about the framework here. It can be design thinking, it can be double diamond theory, it can be a custom design framework that you came up with also, right? So no one is saying you must stick to design thinking or double diamond theory. It can be a custom framework that you just came up with right there. But the most important thing is that say it out and spread it sketch it here in your Figma canvas. Say it and sketch it in your Figma canvas. That way, it will be clear to them that you know how to approach problem solving. You know how to approach problem solving. After that, make sure you always ask questions down the line. Then for your color usage, very important. Now, all of these other points here are points that will ensure that you don't attract negative sentiments. Trust me, that is the, that's the 45% quota of you scaling this live assessment sessions. If the humans don't like you, right? If the humans don't find what you do interesting, if they don't find your process interesting, if they don't like the way you design, your personality around that process, you are more likely not to get past that stage. You are more likely to get dropped if they find someone who designs well and is interesting. So let's be very real about that, right? Let's be very real about that. Don't offend the emotions. Just like we UX designers also say, we also don't want to offend the emotions of our users, right? That's why we try to make sure that the colors blend. That's why we try to make sure that the users of our product read what we write clearly, because we don't want to offend their emotions. So as a UX designer also, during a UX design assessment, you also should not offend the emotions of the people assessing you. So take all of this into consideration and you'd have a natural live assessment. You'd have a natural live assessment. And an interesting one also. Now for non-live assessment, I would say what you just need to take into consideration is this. For non-live assessment, make sure your portfolio looks good. Make sure your portfolio looks good, good-looking portfolio. Good-looking portfolio. For non-live assessment, this is the type of assessment where you'd send in designs you've created, your resume, and so on and so forth. Make sure you have a good-looking portfolio. Make sure you have a well-written resume, just like the first speaker said. Keep typing what I'm saying. Just like what the first speaker said, right? Make sure you have a well-written resume. And also, make sure your LinkedIn is intact. This is because during this stage also, many hiring managers easily go to LinkedIn to check the person out. I have just talked about human nature. Human nature plays a huge role in this. So make sure you have a good looking LinkedIn, like not you making it flashy, just have a LinkedIn that says you do what you say you do. Have a LinkedIn that says you do what you say you do, and let your posts on your LinkedIn also be about what you do and how you do it also. So this is for non-live assessment. Now for your portfolio, yeah, if you can have a personal website for your portfolio, that's fine. If you can't have one, you can use Behance. You can use your Behance link, or you can go to Behance, create your Behance account, and put all your designs there. Behance or personal website. Anyone is fine. Anyone is fine. And trust me, if a company wants you to send in a personal website, only they will specify it. But most of the time, there is no advantage over having a personal website to having a Behance account. If a hiring manager or a design hiring manager goes to your Behance and they see good looking designs there, or they see what they are looking for, they won't care if it's on Behance. They won't care if it's on your personal website. They will reach out to you. So If you can't have a personal website, create your Behance account. Now, the advantage of having a personal website for you as a designer is this. Your personal website gives you the chance to say things about yourself, right? Your personal website gives you the chance to put your resume there and your designs there, right? That's what your personal website does for you that Behance would mostly not do for you. Your personal website gives you the chance to put your picture there, talk about yourself, the years of experience you have, projects you've worked on, what you can actually do, what you aim to do later, and so on and so forth, your contact address, and so on and so forth, right? So those information also come in handy. They do come in handy. But if a design hiring manager wants to see the designs you have created, if they want to see the designs you have created, your Behance would work, your personal website would work, anyone would work. But I still advise designers to get a personal website. Like I've said, it will help you to put in your resume and your designs in one place. Now, a well-written resume, a good LinkedIn account that shows what you do. And also, this is also something that is not very, very, very heavy, but I think it's not very heavy, but I think it's also important. Please use good email IDs, right? Use good email IDs. Now, okay, I think someone is trying to say something. Okay, all right. So use good email IDs. This is something that happens to some people. This is because sometimes when we are kids, I think my first email address is very funny. The first email address I had, it's called, I don't want to say it, but it's a very funny email address. So that was when I was still very, I think I just finished secondary school then. So I had a very funny email address. But as time went on, I sent an email to someone and the person told me, what kind of email address is that? And as a young person, I was not seeing the need for changing it. But at some point, I saw the need to just change the email address, right? To carry my name. So don't use very funny IDs or use very funny things in your email addresses, because sometimes some people, like I always say, sentiment. Someone can just see you put something in your email address that they are against and they'll just take you out. So use email IDs that mostly capture your name. Whenever you're sending your portfolio out, this is also part of the assessment. So I would say that, okay, I think I saw someone ask a question if you can use Notion for your portfolio. Yes, Notion can also serve as a personal website. Notion can also serve as a personal website because on Notion, you have the chance also to write about yourself and put links to your design there. There is this person on Twitter, I think we all know her, Stephanie. Stephanie has a very good Notion template that I think you all can reach out to her for if you want a very quick personal website and you don't want to build or you don't want to spend time designing and building. She has a Notion template that you all can reach out to her for, and it's a very good template that you can use for your personal website. I think these are all of them, but before I even wrap up, before I wrap up, I would say for the live assessment, which is your whiteboarding session, for you to prepare for this session, there are some resources out there that you can use. Right? There is this UI UX design assessment by Testify. By Testify. And there is another one by, I think, Sobin. And you can also go to Test Gorilla. Test Gorilla also. You can, if you go there, you'd see a lot of UI UX design assessments, right? Some of them for whiteboarding sessions, some of them for non-whiteboarding sessions also. But if you go to these platforms, you would see some UI UX design assessment, and you can use them to get familiar with the whole process. so that you don't just go into an assessment and see it for the first time and try to wing it for the first time. You might get lost, right? Then there is another one by Maki people that I don't really like that one, but check it out still. There's another one by Vevo. Right? There's a UI UX design assessment by Vevo. You can go and check that out. There is the one by Test Gorilla, there is the one by Zobin, and there is the one by Testify. These 4 assessments can easily prep you for any UI UX design assessment you want to go to, whether it's a whiteboarding session assessment or a non-whiteboarding session assessment. So these are the natural points that I would just say in this webinar. These are the natural points that I would talk about. And if you have other questions, you can ask. I think during the Q&A session, I would get to talk about other things I must have missed. So this is it, and this is it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joe. That was really amazing. I'm really excited to have actually witnessed the walkthrough that you have done with whiteboarding doing interview sessions. So I would be taking questions. Let me just quickly scroll through to see questions. Okay, so Kunle is asking, is whiteboarding, oh sorry, before that, Abu Osaze asked, during whiteboarding session, is it right or okay to make use of mood board before designing?
Okay, yes. If you want to bring in mood boards as part of your design process, now this is something you would also communicate and say it when you are trying to spell out your design process or framework, because using mood boards is part of the design process, right? So if you would be making use of mood boards, spell it out during this time that you are talking about your design process or framework. Say something like, okay, for this solution, I think I should create a mood board with 2-3 products, then use that, or 2-3 screens, then use that to come up with my own low-fi wireframes, and so on and so forth. When you spell it out, of course, it spells confidence. That speaks confidence because it shows that you are not guessing, right? So you can use it, but say it during this time that you are spelling out the design process or framework.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that, sir. Okay, so another question as to the whiteboarding. So Kunle is asking, is whiteboarding session the same as, can you walk us through your portfolio, recruiters always ask?
Okay, that's not the same as a whiteboarding session. That's not the same as a whiteboarding session. A whiteboarding session happens in Figma, and you are given a problem. I think many people call it live task and so on and so forth, right? So the whiteboarding session happens in Figma, where you are given a problem and you are asked to then go about. So that's a whiteboarding session. But when an interviewer asks you to walk them through your whole solution that they have seen in your portfolio, that is also very interesting because you can still open up your own Figma since you have created the design or you had created the design already. You can open up your Figma and then walk them through the process one by one, and also try to make sure you make that session interesting also. But that's a different session to a whiteboarding session.
All right, thank you very much for that, sir. So Raymond, you are raising your hand. Kindly unmute your mic and ask your question.
All right, thank you, Mr. Joseph, for this wonderful section. So my question is, as regards to when you mentioned making inquiries about the people on the panel, so you know how to involve them, right? So in a situation where you have a dev and a salesperson, what kind of questions or conversation will you advise to bring up to make sure you're engaging them and ensuring that the solution you are providing is aligning with how they work and their own teams go?
All
Thank
right,
you.
that's a very good question. So let's say you have a salesperson. Excuse me. Let's say you have a salesperson on that panel. Yeah, you can say something like, for this solution that I am creating, for this particular feature that I have added here, it is going to make job easier for the salespersons in the organization, because this is going to eliminate a manual process that they were already doing that I have seen on your previous product. But this feature will make it easier for the salesperson to convert more leads for the organization. So that way, you have brought in the sales team. That way, you have sold positive sentiment to the salesperson that is on that panel. Now, for the developer, everything about the product connects with the engineering team. You get it? Because the engineering team will be the ones to develop what you have designed. So you can make statements like, since this is an MVP, we are going to make this part of the app very plain and very straightforward without animations yet, until we get user feedback. Then we can implement that. So this is going to be easier for the developers to implement quickly. And if the developers want a feedback on this, we can also give them what they want based on their feedback. So while you are designing, you can always say that for this part of the design, for that part of the design, we will also like the feedback of the developers. So the moment you make it very known that you are a type of designer that designs with feedback from the product management team, sales team, engineering team, you have sold sentiments to those teams. And since they are on the panel, when a panel is set, it's not only one person who makes the decision on a panel. It's always a vote. So if you have 3 out of 5 people voting for you, that's you scaling through that stage.
Beautiful. That's a really an amazing response to that question. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so I'm going to take one last question from one more person. So if you have question, please drop it to the chat or just signify by a raise of hand. So I'm just going to wait for 30 seconds to take one last question. And if there is no question, we would Esther will take it from here. All right, so 10 seconds counting. We have any final question for Mr. Joseph? Okay, so in the absence of questions, Esther, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Victoria. Thank you so much, Mr. Joseph. We really learned a lot from your knowledge, and this is a very good opportunity for us. We appreciate you for honoring our invitation and really appreciate for joining us today. Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
so
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you, sir. Okay, so before the next session that we have now, so we are going into the surprise we have for us today. So do well to listen attentively and so of what we have in store. So we've learned a lot from today's sessions from the two speakers. We've learned about confidence. We learned about building up ourselves. We've also learned about having a good portfolio. So I'm going to be sharing my screen now. Okay. Okay, why? Okay. All right. So we have news for us all. So if you know you need a portfolio review, you have your portfolio, but you don't know how good it is, and also you want to know how to present yourself in front of a recruiter. So we have an amazing and incredible opportunity for you. So for 10 lucky people, we are going to be having a portfolio review session courtesy of this job conference organized by Perxels and Roadtrip Community. So we are going to be having this review session next week, Saturday. I'm excited. I hope you're excited as well. So Zainab has dropped the link to the portfolio review form. So if you're interested, you can click the link and you fill in your details, fill in your portfolio link, and we'll get back to you on that. So we have, the space is limited, so the fastest finger, and also depending on if you meet some criteria as well. So here is the link, and we would we'll be expecting your replies as soon as you can. So yeah, that's the news we have for you. So we have two amazing judges that will be reviewing your portfolio, and they will also give you some insights on how to improve as well. You also be presenting yourself, so you get feedback on how well you carried yourself. So with what you've learned in the conference today, you can also use it to um, use it. Is it something, a practical, something that you can use to practicalize what you've learned today? So how you are confident about your presentation, your process, and all that as well. All right. Okay, so without further ado, as you're filling the link, yeah, yes, exactly, we'll drop the link in our WhatsApp group as well, and we'll also be sending you emails containing the link so you can fill it. And you have to fill it on time, because as I said, there are 10 lucky winners for this. So now we are going to move into a short quiz. So we have prizes to be won. So we want to know who has been paying attention so far, and I will hand over this session to Mary Blessing. Mary Blessing, over to you. Okay. I think Mary Blessing is having network issues, so I'll be taking up the session as well. So yeah, so the I'm going to be asking a question. The first person to give an answer to the question, you have to be fastest finger. This is a fastest finger something now, and hope the network also doesn't work against you. So the first person to type the answer to the chat box, the correct answer, of course, wins. And once we've announced you as a winner, please kindly provide your full name and your Instagram handle, as well as then give us a Victoria is here with her yeah, exactly. So give us a give us a message on Instagram, send us a DM on Instagram, so we'll be able to trace back with your IG handle and your full name. So are you ready? I hope you're ready, and I hope you're prepared. So the first question, the first question. Okay, number one, hiring managers are looking for KSA during hiring process. What does KSA stand for? Guess it first. Who gets it first? Wow, that was fast. That was fast. Wow, dig on my amen. So we have our winner already. Uh, Amen answered it fastest. So kindly provide your name, your full name, your Instagram handle, and also message Perxels or Roadtrip on Instagram. So we'll be dropping our social media handles during the end of the session. So do well to follow back. Your congratulations, Amen. Please, Victoria, have you noted her or him? Sorry. Okay. Please
I've
write down
noted
the name. Okay. All right. Oh, wow, 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 wow. You people should clap. You people should be merry, make merry, be excited, laugh, everything. So Mr. Michael has given us 5 free resume reviews for 5 participants of the wow, of the conference. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, sir. So we are also going to be having that. You will we'll send you a form where you can fill in your details, and we'll get back to you on those that qualify for that. Wow, thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. Okay. The next question. So we would work with time. The next question, number 2. Rather than putting up your responsibilities on your CV, you should put up the dash. What should you put? Wow, I've not even finished. I've not finished speaking. You are really paying attention. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so proud of you. Okay, I think the winner is Ojo Olaide. I'm like it's like females are really winning this thing. Men power. So Ojo Olaide, do well also to provide your name and follow what Victoria. Um, I think Victoria told the first winner something, so follow that. Congratulations, you're second winner. So the third question. So we have two more questions, so you guys can still win something. Um, okay. Sorry, for a moment. The three, the three most common fonts family to stay neutral during assessments, during live assessments are the three of them. You are fast though. Oh, yay. I think you. Okay, okay, let's see. Winner. Oh, some people do not really write the correct thing. Nicholas, you just wrote popping.
Abu Asaz is the winner.
Yeah, but you just wrote robots. None of them even got these robots.
It's
We have robots. We
autocorrect,
have
so it's
robots.
autocorrect actually. It's
All
not.
right, all right. I will accept that. We have robotic, like a lot of different. Well, all right, Abu Osaze, congratulations, you're a third winner. You're a third winner. So let's look for the last winner for tonight. The last question. I want a very hard question. Should I? Okay. Um, during the live whiteboarding session, again, I'm still using that one. What colors should you stick to? Okay, okay, okay. Wow, a whole lot of entries. Okay. What was our winner for today? Taufik Hulubeja. Well, okay, I'll accept black, gray, and white. So we have our last winner for today is Taufik Hulubeja. Congratulations to you. So, Victoria, I don't know if you listed them out so that we'll mention all of them one by one. So our four winners for today. Okay, yeah, yeah. So these are our four winners for today. Oh, I'm sorry in advance. Odigoma, Ojolaide, Abu Osaze, and Taufik. Congratulations, guys. Let's congratulate them. Oh, don't be so sorry. Congratulate them. Congratulations. All right. Thank you for joining me on this game session. All right, everybody. I hope we are filling the portfolio link, and I think we have come to the ending of today's event, and it's been an amazing time so far. I'm sure even apart from me, each and every one of us had a lot of things, not just one thing, a lot of things that we took note of today. So once again, I want to thank our amazing speakers, Mr. Michael, Mr. Joseph. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation once again, and we hope to have much more collaborative experience with you, and we hope to also learn more as the day goes by, as time goes by. I think Mr. Michael has dropped his LinkedIn. Mr. Joseph, please, we would like you to drop your social media handle as well so that we can follow you um, and learn from you. Thank you very much, sir. So this event, like we said, it was organized by Perxels and Roadtrip. It's a collaborative effort of Perxels and Roadtrip, and we are so glad because this event was a success because of you all. We couldn't have done it alone. Thank you so much for gracing our invite. Thank you for registering for the event. And so we'll be dropping our link links to our social media handles as well. So do well to follow us. Road Trip will drop theirs, and Perxels will drop ours as well. So do well to follow us. This is it is good to be part of a community of like-minded individuals. As we have had today, networking is very important during job search. So do well to make use of that networking. All right. Oh, okay. Question. Please, how can we key into the free resume? Yes. So I said I'll be sending we'll be we'll be creating a form for you to fill, and we'll be sending it to your emails, and also to the group as well. So the requirements for you, of course, have a resume, have a resume, and also your resume should have an aspect of seriousness as well. So have a resume, and with the 5 lucky winners, we'll get back to you on also other criterias that you would meet. So those information will be in the email and also on the group. So don't worry about that. We rest assured. All right. So thank you once again for joining us. And lastly, we would love you to leave. We would love to take a picture, like a screenshot of today's event. So if you can, kindly put on your cameras so that we just take a quick screenshot so that you say, "Oh, I was here. I was here at Perxels and Roadtrip Job Conference. I was here." So kindly do that so that we take that. All right, so everybody, please don't be shy. Just the screenshots of the event. Hi, Victoria. This is your face. This is my face too. Why is it just me and Victoria? That's wow. Don't leave us alone now. Guys, we're in this together.
So everybody say cheese. Yes, take the picture.
Jeez. Ah, thank you, Mr. Michael. It's lovely to see your face. Okay, we are taking the picture in 5 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. Oh, good, good. Please.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you. We appreciate you. Okay, so do also send in your. Do you have any questions? Okay, we have people. You can also connect with one another on the group. It's a very good opportunity to connect. So also do also send in a feedback. Sorry, someone raising their hand. Okay, no. So do well to send in your conference feedback. So we are providing a feedback form for you to fill. Just to let us know how the conference went for you, and if you have any suggestion for other conferences. So do well to let us know. We'll also share the conference feedback form on the group as well. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We appreciate you, and we hope you have lovely and amazing night. So Victoria, if you have any other thing to say, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much to our speakers. Mr. Joe, thank you for coming in. And we hope that your weekend is hassle free. Going forward. Sorry about the stress for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael, for like you literally, embodied the job conference. You brought experience and practicalization to what the recruiting experience was like. I wasn't even expecting Mr. Joe to, go straight into the practical, walkthrough of whiteboarding session would look like. And I just really want to appreciate both of our speakers for literally embodying the purpose of this job conference. And it has really, you just took our heart out and said, see, we understand what you guys are thinking, and we're going to deliver just that. So a big shout out to our speakers for delivering par excellence. Thank you so much, very much, sirs. And then to everyone that stayed to the end, because at the beginning of this session, we were like over 100 people. But yeah, we are closing with 47 people. I wanted to say in my quirky side, these guys are so serious. You guys are so serious about job hunting. So I just wanted to like say thank you so much for staying to the end. I appreciate every one of you. And let me just say this out there, that if you're job hunting, just know that you will soon hit your goal, right? You will soon hit that one yes very soon. So keep going, keep pushing, making sure that you're checking your processes and doing the right thing and at the right time, and making sure that you are taking all that you have learned today and practicalizing it. And I can bet you, like I can promise you, that very soon you're literally going to hit that yes, that one yes you're looking for. So everyone, big shout out from Roadtrip Community, big shout out from Perxels Design School, and we are looking forward to having another job conference pretty soon. So just stick around with us, follow us on our social media platform, and then let's do this once more in the future. So that was a wonderful weekend, everybody. Thank you, and bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.